We're gonna start with a Christmas carol today. 1, 2, 3. If the Lord were alive today, what would you give him this Christmas?
What's the next part? What do you give something?
Give him
Someone who has everything and
$20.
more. Oh no,
yeah,
you do.
yeah.
He can heal the sick, so
Actually,
don't give him an aspirin.
we don't have to do the whole thing.
I'm just singing. Okay, you told me to sing.
If the Lord were alive today, what would you give him this Christmas? What do you give someone who has everything and more?
Merry Christmas.
Putting the crust back in Christmas.
Oh my god, I saw a billboard on the road that said Christmas. I was gonna die.
Oh my god.
Okay, so
I thought we were saying crust like pizza crust.
Oh no, yeah, for sure.
Hi, welcome to Moralton University. I'm Lauren, and I'm here with Wes and Sena. Today we're just going to do a fun video for the holidays. It's a little gift from Santa Clay. We're just going to do a tier list where we talk about all the episodes, what we like about them, what we don't, and we'll rank them in the 5 categories we've created. So this isn't a very serious video. We're just here to have fun, and we hope you enjoy it.
No, this is very serious. It's a tier list that is going to be the definitive one, and we're right, and everybody else is wrong.
Yeah, definitely. Because if this was my personal ranking, it would be like everything in the bottom, and then help right up top. Thank you, and after that. Thank you.
Oh my god. So we have 5 tiers. At the bottom is Satan's personal picks. These are episodes that, we think are okay. They're not our favorites. But
Satan would have loved them.
Satan would have loved them. Maybe they, to us, they're not ones we really go back to for rewatches. Good enough for human consumption. It's a decent episode. Like, maybe it's not the most memorable, but good. It's funny. It's got like redeeming qualities. Jesus would have laughed. This is maybe, like, how would you describe this one? Like,
it's mid-tier. I mean, it's not Jesus would have laughed, but maybe God wouldn't have,
Yeah. The second to the top tier is Blessed by the Angels. This is like a really, really good episode. But maybe it's just like missing like that little something that makes it like a Moral Orel classic. So of course the top tier is God's favorite episodes. These are the ones that we think are the cream of the crop. They're the ones we go back to for rewatches all the time. We think they're just really like the pinnacle of what Moral Orel is. Let's get into it. The first episode is The Lord's Greatest Gift.
The Lord's Greatest Gift.
It's a good intro, to the fascinating, wacky world of Moral Orel.
Yeah. A little too wacky, if one could say.
Yeah.
It's got that season 1 feel,
For sure.
It's the quintessential season 1 episode, and people still refer to the zombies after that, so it's not like it didn't happen.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's a lot of things in that episode that make me laugh that are mostly in the background, but like when I don't know, a lot of the censored all stuff in that episode really, really entertained me.
She was so funny. I loved her with the angry mob and tearing up the Bible and burning books.
That was a great introduction for her character.
Yeah.
I also love at the library when like they're trying to get the book and Tiny Tina comes over and is like, Miss Censor Doll, he's looking at the Renaissance art.
No, there are still definitely some really good jokes in that episode. It is season 1 tone, though.
I think it falls like a little flat compared to some season 1 episodes. I think especially the ending for me is a bit...
I don't know. That's like the one time in the show that Clay hugs Orel, and that, I don't know, something about that was really cute to me.
That is really cute. I don't
but
know.
But overall, I would say, I would put it in Jesus would have laughed.
Yeah, it's a foundation. It starts the foundation, but there's improvement there.
Yeah,
definitely. That's a good like baseline for what a Jesus would have laughed episode is.
God's Chef. I'm gonna put God's Chef up in God's favorite episodes.
you know what? People, this is what we gotta expect. This is okay. General audience consensus be like, ew, oh my god, chef. They're gonna expect it to be at the bottom, right? But yeah, satanic things do happen, but it's the overall message. You guys aren't getting it, okay? Okay, you don't watch Rick and Morty like I do, okay? Sorry.
But honestly, the chaotic energy of the episode, it does belong in Satan's personal picks.
Yeah, I mean, it's in terms of the narrative, I feel like it's a little, yeah, but like, it doesn't.
I think like the subject matter they were trying to tackle in the episode is like really good. Like for me, it's not I can't put it in the bottom tier. It doesn't feel like a bottom tier episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really go woohoo God Chef, but like, I do kind of not watch it that often, but I think that what's beneath the surface. Is
what's beneath the surface is it's just it hits better than the Lord's Greatest Gift did, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Yeah. And
so I'd put it a smidge higher up.
Blessed by the Angels.
Yes.
That's going to be a controversial one.
The people are not.
I can't wait to see the comments about that choice.
I mean, I agree with
this
you.
One had
like,
the giraffes.
Yeah.
It does.
It does have the giraffes.
Messaging wise, and like also like Clay's lecture at the end is like an all-timer.
It's got redeeming qualities. Yeah.
Yeah.
It had like an actual Davy and Goliath style flashback to the Bible. So, I feel if they did that more often, it really would have pissed off the Lutheran Church, but like I don't know.
Anyway, better than the general audience thinks it is.
On to charity.
I love that episode.
Me too. It's so good.
I feel like that's either between Blessed by the Angels or God's Favorite. It's a good one.
I think out of all of the early ones, like the really early ones that kind of still fit that formulaic narrative, I think that's one of the better ones.
Yeah.
It's just entertaining. Like the concept is so ridiculous. Like little boy buys crack. But like
then he does the crack.
Yeah. I was like, no, Oral. That's how I felt watching that. But
it is a really good one. It's really funny. I think it's a good episode to like start people on. Yeah, it's just a great episode. Crack is a gateway to slang.
I would put that.
I'm tempted to put it in God's favorite episodes, but like when I think about the episodes that will be in that tier, like
it's
not
worth it.
We can always readjust if if we feel that there's a shift in quality building up in there. But I think maybe green tier, the Blessed by Angels.
Waste.
I like that episode a lot.
I love it personally.
Yeah, it's funny. It's really funny. The concept is just so goofy, and it kind of was the originator of the series in a way. So
it's historic, and it gave us Danielle about to sacrifice a llama or a sheep or something and going, "It's your lucky day, Curly. You've been saved by a beverage."
I thought that was good setup for him. It sets the stage.
Yeah.
I like
it. He's really the highlight of that episode for me. It's like
the
12-page letter, the kind of like creepy gym coach thing that ends up getting like subverted, the almost sacrificing the animal. Like I want to say maybe Jesus would have laughed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Charity overall is a bit better, but
yeah.
So I would
Yeah.
I think it's leagues better than that first episode though.
Yeah.
Stephanie.
Yeah, I almost think we should move Lord's Greatest Gift to good enough for human consumption.
Yeah, why not? The Blessed Union.
This one's Stephanie. I love Stephanie.
Yes. God, I love it, but it's still not God's favorite tier.
Yeah,
No.
it's a good episode. It sets up a character well, but I don't have a whole lot of I can't remember specific scenes from that episode except for the stuff with Stephanie herself.
I remember the scene with Gilberta cleaning the bear at the end.
Yeah, I do too. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. I also do like Putty's sermon at the beginning. where he's talking about how like women want
Oh,
renegades.
yeah,
It's too late
yeah.
to reinvent myself.
I love
Yeah. And Blaberta's like angrily nodding
that.
along
Yes,
because like
I
yeah.
should be with her to show her what a real man's like. Aggressively nods.
I mean, I think it's a really good episode, like one that I enjoy rewatching. But like again, like it's not like a. I feel like
It's not the highest tier.
no.
I
would say-
I was gonna say the yellow one.
Yeah, I was
'Cause
too.
It's not. Yeah, I don't know why I keep calling
Yeah.
it that color, but yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard when you. Oh my god, when you rank them like this, it's difficult because like there's things we love. About
I do
all
think
of
even if God hates Stephanie, Jesus would have loved her.
them.
So true. Jesus would have loved her.
Yeah. Take that, God.
Got it. Yep.
Omnipresence.
Oh boy. So
I really like omnipresence.
I think it's hilarious. I think Oral having a little god complex for a day is just ridiculous.
on a philosophical level, as like a stop motion cartoon where quite literally he is being controlled by multiple eldritch gods who are moving him around piece by piece. That is an amazing concept.
That's
But it's,
funny.
it is, I would say it is the closest episode in vibe to like an actual Davy and Goliath episode.
Is it? Oh.
Well, not really, because I haven't watched a lot of Davy and Goliath, but it's such a soft episode. Nothing really shocking happens in it,
Mhm.
besides him like
Pulling the
euthanizing
plug
an old
on life
lady.
support, yeah.
But it's one of the much more tame episodes.
It is.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think that's maybe why it doesn't always stick in my brain. This isn't an episode I go back to a lot. Like I do like it. I like Liberta and Shapey at the beginning.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I
that's the
think it's a
scene
fun one. I think it's a fun one to show in a classroom.
Yeah, I really I only think about like Blob's giving him advice in the beginning. It's like one of the only times she does, and then
And she just stares out into nothing
yeah,
with
she's
like
got
some
very
happy music
interesting-
playing.
Yeah, some interesting things going on with her in this one, but
She was snipping something that day.
She could slice.
I mean, she was quite literally
slice
sniffing the bottle.
potatoes and dice
Yeah.
tomatoes at the same time, or
Yeah.
slice tomatoes, dice
Yeah.
potatoes. I
She
don't
could-
remember which way.
Slice tomatoes and dice potatoes.
And then the music just plays blank ass
Yeah.
stare. Like, yes. Oh my god, funny. I love it. But overall, the episode, where would you guys put that
It's
one?
good enough for human consumption, I
Yeah.
think, because
It's not super memorable, but it's got good moments.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's the Halloween episode. The one thing that I remember from this episode is Clay's little vampire outfit, and I
Yeah.
didn't know it was Clay the first time I saw
was
it,
like,
but it's
I
like who
swore
else?
I was like, is this a lookalike or is this him? Like,
Oh no.
Nobody else has that
I was about
haircut.
him.
So
mhm.
He's got his fruity eyeliner. And,
I was about to say it was a fruity little vampire costume.
Yeah, so really it turns everything into Twilight because Proper Sir Papermouth is a werewolf and Clay is a vampire. So
God.
obviously,
Oh my god.
obviously we've
Liberto's
cracked the
Bella.
code.
Oh no.
But no, I think that episode's quite funny. Just the concept of him putting the 10 commandments on a checklist to just break them
Yeah.
on one night. It's very goofy.
And then being like, but Dad, I was gonna repent. And he's like, oh, you should have told me that first.
Oh no, this one's good. This one's sleeper, I think. I think it's funny.
Yeah. I also really like where the part where he's like making the list and then Biliberta's like, you need to go take out the trash, and he's like, you're the only trash in this house, Blob.
Blobberta.
I don't remember that. What? I gotta
You don't
go
remember that line?
I gotta go look at that again. I don't remember
It's
that.
so funny. It's like the way the line is delivered always makes me laugh.
Clay says that?
Yeah.
No,
No, it's
Oral.
Oral
Oh
says
yes,
it.
yes, because he's not honoring his parents. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, it hit me a little late.
I think that one goes and Jesus would have laughed.
Yeah.
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 Jesus would have loved this one, I think.
Yep. He's got a sense of humor.
Oh my god, loyalty.
Loyalty.
I love
loyalty.
loyalty. Absolute banger on
Look,
my
it's
part.
The
But
first Joe
The
episode.
highlights of loyalty is the amount of gay shit in it, to be honest.
I just think Joe's a really fun character. Like, I just really like him. I always like
Yeah.
the bully archetypes and like how his character arc went from that to what we got in Dumb. I just really liked his progression.
Yeah.
Somebody described him like in the creator commentary as a really impotent bully, which is like, oh, that is what he is, isn't it? He's not like effective as a bully.
No.
I love when
No.
he calls Oral like a goofy two-shoe.
Yes, I like that. I also always laugh at the, can we stop throwing rocks at my dad's car now? I don't know why that's so funny to me, but it just makes you laugh every time.
The two kids at the end who just kiss each other and go, "You're nice. You're
Oh, they're
nice."
so cute.
Iconic, so cute.
Yeah. And they never show up again. Well, they do show up
They're
in the
class.
backgrounds.
Yeah, they're in class.
Yeah.
That's about it. They don't talk.
They're so
But
cute.
also, last but not least, Clay spinning around with Danielle, and then Blaberta kissing Danielle in front of him, and then Shapey hugging him. And it's just so clear what's going on there, and it's like the most ham-fisted foreshadowing you've ever seen of like a weird situationship.
And also like Daniel's reactions to them doing that is also like very telling of where like he is mentally. Like he's so into like Clay's like spinning around with him, and then Blaberta kisses him, but he's kind of like not super responsive to that.
He's kind of meh, but he does it anyway just to get it over with.
Yeah, and then Shapey hugs him, which is just so cute. Shapey just like has this like
he's got this innate sense that his father is right there, but also just the fact that Blaberta kisses him and Clay does nothing.
Yeah,
he does nothing. He just stares.
Like, I think his brain kind of turned off there a bit.
He's repressed as fuck.
Yeah.
Was he like riding the high of spinning around with Danielle?
That must have been it. and then feeling a little confused about what's going on in front of him, but not thinking about it, maybe.
Yeah.
Not processing what's happening.
Well, he's just like, Danielle is so attractive. Obviously, everyone wants him, including my wife.
It's like, I wish I was kissing Danielle.
Gymnastics. I love that episode, though. I'm kind of biased, but
I think it's a Jesus would have laughed.
Yeah, that's fair, because we gotta have the high ones gotta really hit. So
yeah,
I feel like a lot of season 1, like as we're ranking it, is a Jesus would have laughed.
Yeah.
But the last 2 episodes of season 1,
maturity. I love maturity. I love maturity.
Yeah, very good one.
I love when he's just going out and getting drunk and acting like a complete fool in front of everybody in a stupid little dance, like a boom 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 boom, a boom 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 boom.
It's so funny, and some of the jokes in that episode, like we've talked about this scene in other videos, but the conversation between Clay and Blaberta where they're fighting about Shapey not being mean.
That was the precursor for best Christmas. It was a little
Christmas,
teaser. It was a little teaser for all what was to come, and I think it's a good episode. You know what?
Yeah, I love maturity. I think it's a fantastic episode. I would put it in Blessed by the Angels, to be honest, but Best Christmas is slightly better than that.
Oh yeah,
and that one belongs in Blessed by the Angels.
That's the top tier.
Yeah.
But also for maturity, one scene that gets me every time is when Oral is on the bench with Tiny Tina, and
I don't want to know your name.
I'm just waiting to be held.
One night. Just need to be held.
I want to go skip.
I want to go skip.
It's so good.
The progression in that episode's hilarious. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Our first top tier episode. The
best Christmas ever.
Oh, yeah, I would put that in the top, no questions asked. But
yeah, like that's an instant classic. It's so.
We have to talk about why it's an instant
classic.
Yeah.
Well,
like I think it's like it's like the first episode that I think really gets into like the tone and like the themes that like Dino like really wanted to explore with the show, like stuff we're gonna see more in like season 2 and especially season 3, and we get so much depth with like Clay and Blaberta, and we see like this. It's I think it's really the first time that like Oral, it's like this really formative moment for Oral where he, things aren't just like his like whole like naive worldview kind of cracks a bit.
And this was the series premiere. It wasn't supposed to be, but they made it. Yeah, it wasn't intentionally, but they made that decision because they wanted to kind of start with a bang and just get everybody looking at the show. So I can understand why they did that. Plus, they couldn't really replay it unless people were like recording it on video or something. So it's like you see that episode and then they immediately just start you at the beginning of the series after that. No, I think the decision makes sense at the end of the day.
I mean, that wasn't really how, as far as I understand, how Dino wanted it to be shown, but I mean, I
No,
think...
wait, it actually was. It was how Dino wanted it to be shown, but I think it was Jay who thought that it was a bad idea to get into the deep stuff first.
Yeah, in the commentary, Jay was the one that wasn't really into them doing that, but Dino said that he was good with that.
He said he
and
was on
they were
board with it,
talking-
but that wasn't his initial decision, I think, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
Yeah.
And then they were also talking about how like they kept getting like messages from people being like, "You ruined my Christmas."
Yeah,
So
they thought that the show cut off early or something.
Yeah.
But that's so impactful, that final shot. Like it's just,
Yeah.
honestly, it's such a great way to close the first season. Really, really strong episode tonally overall, and it really sets the kind of mood for oncoming progression of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just amazing episode, and as like a child of like divorced parents, gets me every time. It's just like such a good one. I think it hits all the right emotional beats.
Season 2, let's go. God's Image.
Oh my God,
I love that episode.
Oh my God. The town council meeting in that episode is so funny.
Oh yeah.
I love that it kind of establishes who like the really important people in the town are.
Yeah.
And I like to imagine that after the whole episode and the entire town catching fire, they decided to just let Figurelli join them on the town council.
I mean, I almost think he maybe was on it, but then he wasn't informed of the meeting because it's about
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
They just decide to have it in his store.
Yeah. They're like, get the hell out of here. It's so interesting. It was interesting to me that Roberta was there. Like, every time I think about that, like, what does she really do? Nothing in the town. So, but
She's part of the PTA.
Well, Clay
know.
was like, I want to go flirt with my boyfriend, but I can't do that unless you're there to give me like a cover.
He doesn't say that, of course.
No, but I mean,
no, really,
The
I think he
thought
did
process.
say that. I think I heard that. In the audio.
yeah, actually, that's fine. He did say that.
Yeah, Scott Adset whispered that specifically into our ears.
He's not even conscious of it. We're gonna get into this argument now.
I'm joking, but yeah, like, why did he bring her? Who knows?
So that she could carry Shapey and Shapey could reach for Danielle and we could
Yeah.
have that scene.
Yeah.
And then Shapey turns the radio on because it's important for Shapey to be there.
And then the radio dial is also like kind of like
Seems
boob
like a boob.
shape.
Yeah, I love that.
I thought that was so
He's
funny.
like, drink, and she wouldn't give it to him, so the radio dial.
Also, this was the episode that introduced the Christines.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, wait, they were
Wait,
introduced in Best
No,
Christmas
yeah,
Ever.
yeah.
No, they were introduced in.
No, it
Yeah,
was Best
'cause
Christmas because they said, let's give a warm welcome to our Jews for Jesus, and it was in Best Christmas Ever.
Yeah, but
I
this is the
I
first
thought
episode where
I
they had
thought
a
it was
significant role.
I thought it was in God's Image, and then they introduced them, and then suddenly everybody like he was suddenly talking about like Anglo-Saxon features, and I don't know, maybe I'm remembering wrong.
It could.
It
be,
is Best Christmas Ever because they do.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, welcome the Jews for Jesus. But they don't have a speaking role in that. This is the
No.
first.
Oh
one.
yeah. Okay, because of the line, who knows what would be standing here today? Perhaps a synagogue.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was their first like characterized role, like speaking role, and I think they're so
Yes.
fun. They're like, they're very entertaining side characters. Like they get a lot of good.
They
laughs.
are.
You can hide in my good Christian attic.
Yeah.
They'll hide them like Easter eggs.
Oh my God. Yeah, the Christians have like such like personalities. I really like enjoy whenever they're on screen.
Yeah.
This episode, I think it's really solid. There's a lot of good jokes. The message is crazy. The ending with the fucking like disclaimer and the fucking lullaby music at the end. It's so funny. Like I would put, I don't know about y'all, but it's close. It's close between Jesus Would Have Laughed and Blessed by the Angels, but I think it's really good.
I think it's in Jesus Would Have Laughed.
I think the one thing I'd say about it is like it's clear what the episode is like trying to get across. I don't know, like I feel like there's some missteps in how they land it. Like, I mean, I think you can tell there's like probably not
Yeah.
a lot of people of color, if any,
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
that
writing
too.
Oh,
staff.
Yeah.
probably none.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like I think kind of clear with it, but I mean, like I don't.
But
think
it
it's a
was. I
bad
think it was
job.
more about like anti-immigrant sentiment.
Mm.
I guess.
Yeah, I think its messaging gets a little bit muddled.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't think the message is told in a very concise way, but I still think the comedy is funny.
It's a really funny episode. Just I think.
Oh yeah, the scene at the beginning at Polite Charlie's where they did the zoom into the restaurant. That was apparently the set was from Robot Chicken.
Wait, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I do like the joke at the beginning where Clay and Oral are in the restaurant, and then it's revealed that Blobs is in the car with
I
Shapey.
hate that.
and
I mean, I think it's
I-
hilarious.
I love
think it's
it. I
hilarious.
love
it.
No, I mean, when
Awful.
I say I hate it, I mean I hate that for her, but I love it. It's so funny. And Shapey's just smacking her head. Like,
mine.
awful of them.
Bartholomew.
Oh, this episode's always hard for me to watch. I know it's not real, but I just don't like the little doggy.
I don't think Jesus would have laughed at this one.
I don't think this
No.
one's that okay. Here's the thing, I just don't like. Sure, I understand what it's trying to say, but you're telling me everyone in this town is jealous of a fucking dog? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I know that they wanted to do like a Jesus metaphor, but this was so over the top.
Yeah.
It's very
It was
yeah.
so
That's a
over
good
the
way to put
top.
it. It's so like
Yeah.
like it's hard to believe in a lot of ways. Like, and I understand Moral Oral. Like, it's kind of stupid to say, oh, it's so hard to believe. Like, this Moral Oral is easy to believe normally, child like smoking crack and stuff. But like, I don't know, something about this one. I understand what they were going for.
I feel like town wise, it was on the level of presence for God, but
Yeah.
we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt like kind of like people were acting a bit out of character, like for
Yeah.
the sake of the plot,
Yeah.
which yeah.
And I hate it when things do that, but
But
Yeah.
then again, Putty would be like that.
some characters is
dog.
more believable than others. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, the episode did give us like Putty's like signed photos. which are
Autographs.
Right. Oh my god, I
hilarious.
keep forgetting. And then
Um,
Blubberta,
Rebs.
the fucking Blubber. I don't
Blubberta.
know why I said it like that. And then
Blubbertia.
Blobs and Clay laughing at it makes you laugh every time. It's so cute. In a bad way, but you know.
I was like, haha, look at this loser.
I love when they have like a brief moment of like getting along so they can make fun of other people. I love it.
Mm.
But yeah, this episode is like I love Bartholomew. He's so cute. Like there are some funny moments, but like overall, it's I would agree. It's like, would you say like good enough for human consumption?
I would say yes, good enough for human
Yeah.
consumption.
I don't come back
It's
to
not
that
a
one
bottom
often.
tier episode.
Satan goes up in God's favorites.
Yes.
Hey, that's biased.
well,
I don't have that.
Okay,
My
yeah,
God's
it's a little
favorites.
okay. It's blessed by the angels.
You guys
It's
just
blessed-
want them to boink, okay? That's not...
just okay. Put it down and blessed by.
if we're yeah, yeah. So,
It is. No. It's so
it's
funny.
good.
and
No, it's
so,
funny.
It's
It's
like
funny for sure.
yeah,
And it's
but it's
you
not.
know,
Yeah.
there's a lot
It's
of
not as emotionally impactful as like some of the ones that do belong up in God's favorites.
it puts a lot of character development on Danielle's name, okay? But like
yeah.
and it really
No,
really
not just that. It's like I loved the weird little Satanist BDSM party. That was
Oh,
so
yeah.
funny.
Flygron is a good
Flygron is
supporting
awesome.
character.
I wish he had like showed up again at some point, like in the background or something.
He's so funny. He's voiced by Dino, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so goofy. That character's so silly. Yeah. That I
Like-
forget about that stuff sometimes because it's these characters only show up in like one instance, but
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
funny.
Flygron is like, I think one of the best like one-off characters.
And what was the address was like 667, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's so funny.
The neighbor of the beast.
Yeah. They talked about that in the commentary too. They were
Yeah.
like, it wasn't funny if it was 666, but it was if it
Mhm.
was 667.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a great episode. I mean, like I really like the character development it does for Danielle. I like that it establishes like Io Perry as like Danielle's like musical voice in the
Yeah,
show.
I love that Io Perry is like, you know, there's the animator who's animating him, and there's his voice actor who's voicing him, and then there's Io Perry who's like providing him with this emotional center that follows him around.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. And I think the scenes of Clay and Danielle like flirting in the bar are
The
so like
olive,
cringy and
the
so
olive and the
funny.
straw. These guys are so fucking obvious. Get a room, you freaks.
They're oh my god.
Dolly has seen so much. Like that poor woman.
She knows things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, the reason she walked out in sacrifice was because she could have ended his life right there, and she needed to
should've.
not.
She has nunchucks, okay? They're behind the bar.
Yeah.
She knows how to use them.
This episode also gives us yarn.
Oh yeah.
Yarn. Yarn.
I stand by my queen, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was going through something and I support her.
For sure.
Yep.
Um
And the yellow suit. Don't forget the yellow
my
Oh
suit.
God.
yes, oh yes.
Yeah,
The scene in the beginning
yeah,
with the church and them is hilarious. So yes.
Well, you see, Oral, God's thoughts on male nipples are complicated.
I think he said just nipples. He was like, God's reasoning for hating nipples, blah blah blah. I was like, okay, buddy, like, what are you trying to say right now? Like,
I also think this episode has one of like Jay's fruitiest line deliveries for Danielle. It's when they're at the like the satanic BDSM party and he's like,
Yeah.
Flagron, when are we gonna get to the satanic love acquisition ritual?
Acquisition ritual.
I can't do it. I can't imitate him, but the way the line is delivered, it's like I don't know. There's something really fruity about it.
Feed the flesh. Fill the flesh.
But
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
thank you, Sena, for like grounding us and being like, that's not a top tier.
hey, it could be top tier in your heart, okay? I don't
Yeah.
judge.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's for the clan yell vocals, okay? It's for the
And that's
the
me and
folks.
Wes.
Elemental
on to-
Oral.
This episode.
I love this episode, and anybody who hates on it, I'm sorry. I think it's hilarious.
It gets such a bad rep, even though.
Like, I have heard
Thinking
everyone
about
and their mother shit on this episode. It's so funny.
thinking about the fact that like he catches his parents in like some kind of role play, and the role play is just his mom cleaning somebody else's house.
It's so funny. It's so fun. The build up is hilarious too, like over the whole course of the episode. And like so who cares if Oral's a little ignorant in this episode, okay? It's funny.
He's always like that.
And he's close-minded. Let him be dumb. And he's not a detective, okay? He's trying to be one, but he's not. And it's obvious. Obviously, that's the freaking joke, is that Marionetta is clearly innocent, but the way that they paint her so sinister with, like, the red lighting in that one scene, like, she didn't go to church. She gave food to the poor and crippled. I'm just like, okay. It's funny.
The Vile Eye video.
Like, she did nothing wrong.
It's a solid
also
one,
love-
but it's not like... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, this episode also has the get the toys.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's some very good lines in there. And I just find Marionetta interesting. It's funny. I feel bad. She's always getting like pummeled. Like she's getting the short end of the stick a lot. And whenever she does show up, it's funny.
She also has really cute character design.
She does.
Like,
Her skirt reminds me
like
of
her
Wonder
outfit.
Bread. I don't know why.
She had a great line in another episode that was like, "I feel bad for other ants that are not raised in good Christian ant farms."
Yes,
That's
her
in Trigger.
little school show and tell. So cute.
Yeah.
But, and then the ants escape or whatever.
Yeah.
Sorrel shoots it.
I'd say this is probably. Would you guys say it's good enough for human consumption, or Jesus would have laughed?
I'm split.
I was gonna say on one hand, like I feel like in terms of like being a memorable episode, I'd put it in good enough for human consumption, but like I think some of the jokes put it in Jesus would have laughed.
I like
Yeah.
Joe, so for me, I've always liked it, but
I
I think it go either way.
You know, it
I
gave
feel
us the
like
"Sit on my
Jesus-
faith" shirt, so let's put it in Jesus would have
Yeah.
laughed.
Yes, the sit on my face shirt is so good.
Offensiveness.
Oh,
God,
so
God.
good. That I want to put that at the top just because it's so funny. But
This
we
was like
gotta be
this was
rational.
the real introduction of Censor Doll into the
it's
plot of Moral Oral
it's so
and the illegalization of eggs.
I just love how he turns her own like set of rules
Words
onto her
against
head,
her.
and it's
Yeah.
just so it's so good. And there's a lot of little tidbits and things that you get to learn about Censor Doll in this episode. It's not quite, up to a lone par, but like
Yeah.
you get to learn little things like how she's 40, and I know they tell you about that again later, but like
She used to wear lipstick and have a weird little
that was
haircut.
that photo was not flattering.
Yeah.
Poor girl.
I mean, they kind of like retconned that. Like
Yeah.
They
in-
did, yeah,
in
technically.
help.
Maybe they didn't,
no,
maybe
that could've
they
been-
like yeah.
That could have been like a 30-year-old driver's license or something. You have to renew
That's
those
fair.
every whatever.
Yeah.
This episode is just so crazy. The part that always gets me is when Oral goes to Phony Crops' farm and then he sees the chickens laying eggs and the way Phony Crops is talking to the chickens.
Literally,
Yeah, all the names of the chickens. I don't know. He's a weirdo, but the underground like egg ring at the end is so funny, and the ending is uncomfortable. Like the way
just for that, it needs to be in Blessed by the Angels.
I think it's a great episode. Yeah,
it is really good, and like it starts like establishing one of the show's like ongoing plot lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so good. I would definitely put it Blessed by the Angels.
God's blunders.
I love this episode.
I think this episode's hilarious. I mean,
I love it. Yeah,
but...
I do love Tommy. I don't think this is like one of the funnier ones or one of the more like it's missing a little something in there.
Yeah, I could see that.
It has like these moments I really love. Like I think it's great we get a Tommy episode.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple of moments that I really like is when Fakey calls Oral to the principal's office and Oral's like hot
He's
dog.
excited, yeah.
And then of course the scene where Roberta gets like all defensive because she thinks
that's
like,
a great scene. That's
about her marriage.
The thing about that is that like they you really only get little tiny scenes like that with Roberta before season 3, but that was a really good one. It shows a lot about her character like from the sideline, but the overall message of the episode and what it's showing is interesting to say the least, but was it handled well? Nowadays it's a little bit icky, but
I mean this was what 2006, like I'm not surprised they're using the R word a lot.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like that wouldn't fly now. Yeah, but I will say the ending shot always makes me laugh. Like
I mean, the speech makes me laugh, like because of the way that they frame it being so like touching, but he's saying the most like weird. He's just saying the weirdest shit on his little cardboard box, and
like you really thought he did something.
Yeah,
and everyone's just like, poor guy, poor kid.
Yeah.
Let's just say that Tommy is like the unsung hero because like he squared the fuck up when his friends were in danger. Just saying.
I love Tommy. I wish we'd gotten like to see a little more of him.
Yeah, he's cool. He's a cool character. I wish he had a little more time on screen. I'd say...
and Brenda voices him, which is cool.
Yeah. She does a good little like young child voice.
Yeah. So, but like Jesus,
I'd say I think it's more of a good enough for human consumption.
Yeah.
It's not like gut-bustingly funny.
Nah.
It's got its moments, but like
Jesus would have frowned.
I always think
some ports.
I don't know. I chuckle at the super god scene where they're like a mild-mannered regular god turns into super god, stronger than regular god. I don't know. It's just funny, but a little goofy.
I think super god is funny.
It is as a concept.
I
like that pleasure is like squarely in Jesus would have laughed. I feel for me.
Yeah.
It's a weird episode in a way, but
it's a weird one, but also like, of course, like how else was this gonna develop for him?
Yeah, it's so parts of it are strange for me, but there's some good parts in it, and that's where fine comes from or whatever. But like,
yeah.
The
Fine.
couch, him sleeping on the couch. Interesting. They don't even sleep in the same bed, but he has to sleep on the couch.
Yeah.
Clay, I'm setting your couch alarms so you're not late for work tomorrow.
Slams the door.
She was reveling in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, that
Good for
episode,
her.
I actually forgot that episode existed for a little while. Oops, I'm a bad fan, but
You're just like blocking it out of your mind.
yeah, it's fine. The scene.
I love the part where he's like holding up the belt and Oral's just giving him the face and he's like, ugh, just whatever, just meet me in my study. Just defeated.
Yeah. I think there's definitely better
think...
episodes in season 2, but
yeah.
Yes. But I like that this episode, I think, because like people like to be like, oh, like what if Clay is like being all creepy with Oral, and it's like this episode very much establishes he's not.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But people who think that are stupid anyway. Sorry.
Yeah, but like there's, I mean, look on like AO3, like there are some creepy fan fictions on there.
Ew, we don't even need to entertain that. Yeah.
Let's not talk about that.
Like, there's like too many people out there that like want to read that. Like that is being yeah,
go wash your eyes and your cleanse your soul after that one.
Yeah,
I don't need to know that.
Clay is not like that. He's got problems, but don't do him like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh,
the Lord's Prayer.
That's blessed by the angels.
That's strong.
Blessed by the angels.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's for me like close to God's favorite episodes.
It's definitely
I wouldn't say that close.
It's high tier of that tier, I would say. It's really strong. It's, it establishes a lot. The commentary is hilarious because quite literally these people are so like fed up in their own ways that the smallest differences in things suddenly make you the complete like inverse of someone. It's just very interesting. Like and the pose reveals are very interesting. Like, there's a lot you can think about with them. I know they didn't get a lot of episodes, but they didn't get any but this one. And Christina.
We've really created an extensive backstory for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like and Christina's so cute, and it's so funny just seeing the Puppingtons interact with these people that are like exactly like them. And then we also get the Shapey and Block switch.
Clay just is like,
It's like a real game-changing episode.
Yeah.
I also, the part where Oral goes to Inspiration Point to meet Christina. There's so many good lines
are
there.
So funny. Yeah. Thank you, Jesus. People go here to pray.
Tiny little female girlies.
That part always gets me. They're so silly.
But it's a really, I think, sweet, like heartfelt episode. And I really enjoy it. I've rewatched it a lot too.
Oh, holy visage.
Holy visage.
I feel like for glam, we cannot put this in the bottom tier.
I'm a
glam's not here right now.
I'm a little squicky baby, and I don't like the icky wound. I'm gonna cry myself to sleep.
Just for that wound, Satan would have loved that. Satan would have loved that.
I think I don't personally like the episode. I think I think that the message with Dr. Chosenberg, it's a very positive one. I think that it's good that they were showing that, Oral clearly doesn't have bias against people. People are people to Oral, like they're different, but he's gonna question things, but he's not vindictive about it. And the episode is interesting, but it goes on, the jokes feel like they go on way too long and they're just not interesting to me. It's just gross out humor. I just don't like gross out humor.
I don't either. Like I think like you said, like Dr. Chosenberg is like a highlight of the episode, and I think he really carries it. And like Oral's like interactions with him, that's like really like interesting to me. But the rest of it, I'm just kind of like, ew. I
feel like they could have taken that character, done something different, like a different kind of episode, and like just a different concept, and it could have been more interesting. But I think
I like the concept of seeing Jesus in a corn chip as like an episode, but this was not the way to do it, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, that's a real thing, obviously, that's happened before, and it's Delulu as fuck, but like, I just... the execution, not for me.
Yeah, I think it's also worth noting this is one of the episodes that was not written by Dino or Scott or one of like the core writers.
Who wrote
Like,
this
that's
Wait,
shit?
right.
who
It's like
wrote this?
Yeah, who wrote this
Let me
shit? Because
check.
I need to roast them if it's a specific person.
Let's Google it. Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Who wrote this episode?
Holy Visage, Moral Oral. This was directed by Chris McKay. It says it was written by Scott J. and Dino, but that's not what the wiki says. Let me see. Wikipedia.
Where does it say it was written by Scott J. and Dino?
I was looking at IMDb, but I don't think that's accurate because
No.
I know that's one of the ones that they didn't specifically write.
Google says it was written by Jay.
Did Jay write that one?
If so, dog water. Let
Uh,
me look this up. I'm gonna look at the actual episode and see what the intro
David
says.
Agosto, and Jay Johnston. So
Well,
he was one of the writers on it.
flop era.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. This didn't win, Jay. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know how many episodes Jay's written on, but if that's if this is the
I
case, it might
think
be
he's done some good ones actually. So I just don't
in the
know.
commentary,
Like,
they were saying that the scene at the end of Best Christmas Ever with Oral, like the zoom out, that was his idea.
I think maybe he's just in the room and he doesn't often get credited because I don't see his name appearing other than there.
Yeah.
So that must have been one where he was like either taking the lead, but if the other guy's name is first, then I assume that he was writing it first.
still a flop. Bye.
Yeah. Flop. Sorry, Glam.
Oh, poor Glam. Glam, we're sorry.
The character is great, just the episode not for me.
Yeah. Like, let's make that clear. We love Dr. Chosenberg. We think there was a lot of potential in this episode, but they took it in a really gross direction.
Just thinking about the people rubbing their face. Sorry.
Be fruitful and multiply.
I
Good
love this one.
Very good.
So we've gone from rubbing faces into wounds to stealing sperm out of waste baskets.
Gosh, man, you had to go there.
But otherwise, it's a really sweet episode and
It is.
a really fun one. Except for the part where Putty is like obliviously flirting with his daughter.
Yeah, I mean, how stupid can you be, dude? Like, come on.
When she's like, "I'm your daughter," and he's like, "I'll be a black fireman."
Whoa.
The cringe
my
was so
God.
strong. Like, don't let
The
that
cringe
man
is
exist in
so-
an era of TikTok. He'd be everywhere.
Yeah. But also, like, there's some great moments in it. I love Stephanie's dress when she goes to church.
Yeah.
I like this ongoing joke of gay people don't know what to wear to church.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like very much giving like this is the only like non like alternative outfit I own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
first it's Danielle's yellow suit, and then it's Stephanie's flowery dress, flowery
then-
sundress.
when we like flash back to help with Clay's fruity blue suit,
Yep.
the gays don't know how to dress for church. Yeah, this episode is I think it's really sweet. It has, I mean, like it's like it has like some really cringy moments. The ending I think is so sweet. I really like the Putty and Stephanie relationship.
Yeah, the message is good overall. It's very.
Yeah.
I think it's solid. Trying to think of where I mentally put this. Would y'all say it's
We have
middle?
a lot. We have a lot, and Jesus would have laughed. We can put this one in good enough for human consumption.
Yeah, I mean,
Higher than that for
Yeah.
me.
I mean, it's good though. That's
I
the thing
love
that-
it. I love it.
It's not like
but,
we're saying. It's not like we're saying any of these episodes are like doo-doo dog water horrible.
Yeah.
Like, like we don't hate Moral Oral. It's just like some of the episodes,
Yeah.
some episodes are just made better. Like,
Yeah. I'm just saying it because, like, even though I love Stephanie, Putty's like not one of my favorites, so maybe I'm just biased. I'm pretty sure like Putty fans would put it up in Blessed by the Angels.
I would put it in Jesus Would Have Laughed.
Yeah, that's that's a
I
good
think that's a
compromise.
fair
Let's just
middle
put it there.
ground. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's if you're a Putty fan, you're probably gonna love this one. So a
Oh,
lot of
I
character
also
development.
really do like the part where with Putty and Oral and Earl's like family, friends, and faith.
Oh, I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good part.
Words.
Yeah.
I forgot. Okay, so there's this one part where like he's trying to talk to Stephanie in front of the church, and Clay's just like kind of leaning in to eavesdrop,
He's like, "Is that
and then
your
he's like,
type?"
"You sure she's your type, Reverend?" He knows.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, idiot."
Oh my god. Yeah, I like Clay and Putty's like little rivalry. Or they're kind of like not even rivalry, it's just kind of like this mutual dislike.
Yeah.
I really like that. It makes me laugh. Okay, next episode's praying. Or prayer or praying? I can't
I
remember.
think
Prayer.
it's I thought it was
think.
praying.
And like I feel like that one is that's a really nice one. I really love that one.
The message is really good on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would put that in Blessed by the Angels.
And the concept of a praying bee just makes me laugh. It's so fun.
I really
And
what did they
yeah,
do? The
him
thing
lighting
in
the
it.
incense, and I love the shot where like he's meditating in his room and then Clay opens the door and then everything just kind of shuffles out of place.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool shot. There's just a lot of
is.
really cool shots in that episode.
Yeah, when they get
Yeah.
crazy with the animation and they like do like really abstract things, the show looks just like so interesting. Like very good.
Yeah.
I mean, it always
I-
looks good. That's not what I mean, but the experimentation looks cool.
Yeah, I really do like the shot with like all the doors and then Clay comes in and it all falls apart. That is a really good one. I also think this episode kind of gets into like Oral's like anxieties about kind of
Mhm.
like living up to what his community like expects of him.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like everyone's counting on him.
Yeah, and like we see this again later with like the pageant episode. And I think it was like a really interesting decision to like explore that here, and I really like that they started to show this side of Oral.
Shall we move on to repression?
Repression. There's two things that I really enjoy about the episode. The first being when Oral goes in to ask Clay about what happens if like an authority figure is doing something wrong, and then he teaches him about repression. And the second part is the ending of the episode, and the rest of it, because it's about fakey, I don't care for it really.
Yeah, do we really need the fakey centric episode? Like,
did we need fakey to be in
For the little thumbnail for this one, I chose Bendy because like fuck him.
yeah, I mean, like there is some insight, for her situation a little bit, but overall, it's like, why is it about him? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's about repression, so it has to be
Yeah.
about an asshole.
That's true. I laughed a couple times. It's got some funny parts. Overall,
Like the ending's funny. I
love
I
him
do
jumping.
really like the part. I like the whole thing of like Fakey going to the repressional and Putty's like trying to get him to gossip.
Yes,
and, like,
okay.
I like
That's
the
funny.
concept of the repressional.
Yes,
I like
yeah.
that concept.
yeah,
Because
the way-
I feel like the joke was that whoever was writing the episode was like, oh, so they go to the confessional, and then someone's like, wait, these guys are Protestants. They don't have a confessional.
Yeah.
They repress everything. So they're like, okay, so it's a repressional.
that's so funny.
and,
Yeah,
like,
very
That's
clever.
not a thing. So I assume this is just like Putty being like, come tell me all the tea.
He came up with his own
He just wants
bullshit.
to know things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait. So I think, just for those really funny parts, it's good enough for human consumption.
Yeah, I wouldn't put that in Satan's personal picks. Okay, I love this episode. Turn the other cheek.
So good.
So good. One of my
So good.
favorite stupid ones.
Um,
Like,
You have to put that in Blessed by the Angels just for the sequence where Oral beats up his parents.
it's so good. Like,
It's
the-
so funny.
like the overall stupidity of how he turned Clay's message. Like, well, Clay actually did basically just tell him to go beat the shit out of people, but he took it way too far. And I just think it's cathartic seeing him beat the shit out of everyone. And like,
yeah.
it's like, damn, Oral in his rampage era.
It's so funny the way it's animated, like the turning of their cheeks song, like playing during
Yes,
it.
I love the song too. And like,
Yeah.
when you watch that scene with him beating up Clay, there's little details that are just like, it's just so interesting to watch. Like, him stepping on his hand.
that was a masterpiece. That was a
Like-
Like,
masterpiece.
kicks him in the nuts.
It was so
Yeah.
so good. Like, he's really stopping him from fighting back. Like, Oral, don't let Oral Puppington into your karate class.
But
I love
also like I love the ending of the episode, just like how defeated Clay
Yes.
looks.
He's like, save it.
But also I like to think he was a little proud of him then in a fucked up
like,
way.
He seems to like really fear Oral being like sensitive, like he is.
Yeah.
So I think he probably did feel some pride in like Oral being able to kick the shit out of him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like if it were me, I would have kicked the shit out of my dad. So And then he gets like that super illuminating line of
Oh, it's to see if I'm not a father.
if
then
I'm not a
just
father,
husband,
then
that's
I'm just a
worthless.
husband, and that's practically worthless.
That's a really good line for like insight into Clay's character. I really like the interaction with Clay and Blaberta when she goes to his study.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah.
The detergent budget and the weirdness of whatever the hell was going on before that.
Yeah.
Did he try to fuck a chicken?
Who knows?
Who even knows?
What is Clay ever doing?
I wouldn't put it past him, but you know.
I don't think he'd stoop that low.
Stoop.
Maybe. Yeah. I also like the sequence at the beginning with Blaberta getting up in the morning.
That again is another really telling scene for her.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I just think the concept of her getting ready for an hour just to tell him to go to sleep and then go back to bed is just mwah, it's so funny.
That's so in character for
and
her.
It's so it just tells a lot about her. And I love the little turn the other cheek song. And when I like when Clay and when Orel and Blaberta when they sing together, it's cute to me.
Yeah, she was having a great time in that episode until he beat her up.
Yeah,
a good Blaberta episode. Geniuses is not one of my favorites.
It's not it. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I feel like it would be very funny if it was like a season 1 episode, but it's otherwise like it's a little too fantastic for my taste with where it was positioned.
And the ending is just so bizarre. Zorl,
yeah.
Like what the fuck?
Zorl.
Yeah,
but okay. What I like about that ending is that it implies that Moralton is stuck in some weird conservative frozen ice age where they cannot like feasibly progress as a society, so they're just stuck being in that weird 70s zone, and it could very well be taking place in 2005 or 2006.
It's just so much of it falls flat for me. I do like the ongoing joke of Blaberta having beef with Europeans. That I really enjoy that. Like that's one of my like little quirks of like Blaberta's character that I really like. Yeah, overall it's just kind of
Yeah, I get.
I do like the implication about, you know, in the church scene, some of the adults were just like they knew that he resembled the missing link. Especially Sculpt them, and you know I like that it kind of shows that they're a little more smart than they let on, that they know more things than they let on, and it's really mostly just social conditioning that they believe in geniuses.
Yeah, I get what they were going for with the concept of the episode, but like it's just not that interesting to me. Like it, I get it. It's like, oh, we turned our the missing link into a conservative radio show host. Okay, very funny. I like how Blaberta was knitting an ashtray. That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Basically, I just look at Blaberta in episodes I don't like. I'm like, okay, there we go. That's my entertainment. But
That's
there was the scene where like Clay drops his drink and then Blaberta immediately cleans it up and then gives him another drink. That was such a clean scene.
Yes. It was an okay episode overall, but not my favorite. Not. I would say it's one of the worst. I would put it in the bottom for sure. Yeah, we all already did.
Satan would love that one.
Yep.
Satan would love it. The creepler doughy sculpt them thing.
Yeah. This episode has birthed awful implications onto the fandom.
This episode is, I think, it's single-handedly responsible for attracting some of the weirdest people into the fandom.
Yep. 100%. Here's the thing. Like, I think if you watch it as a normal person, it's, you know, it's a little weird, but like some parts of it are funny, but just like I can't get the taste out of my mouth now when I see it. Like I'm just like, ugh, like
it's like all the like the weird like Krapler fans. It's like he's not sympathetic. He's like trying to get Doughy into his van so he can do stuff to him.
And
like,
I feel like
that's not.
Yeah, and I feel like the whole concept of that kind of joke, like that far into the season, it's just a little bit dry. It doesn't work for me. It's a stupid like nod at something.
I think this is another episode that wasn't written by any of the main writers.
Oh, really?
Is it?
Yeah, let me check.
I mean, I do like
Courtship.
I do like we get a bit more depth to Dowie here.
Yeah, you learn a little bit more about Dowie, get to see some sculpt them. There's some good lines, but like the overall just like
There's
concept.
there's 3 names here and none of them are Dino, Jay, or Scott. So well,
okay.
one of them is Scott, but it's not Scott Adsit. It's a whole other
Oh.
person.
Oh.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a weird one. So
Yeah, I like the
this
song they put
episode-
in it.
Yeah.
yeah, the
This
song
episode's grown
it was
on me
weird.
a bit. I really wasn't a fan when I first watched it, but it's grown on me a bit.
I like how Sculptum hates France.
I like
Yes.
there's some good funny jokes in it, but like anything involving the weirdo creepler shit, I just like turn my brain off. I'm like, ew, no. And then I
Yeah.
like the part with Liberta, the never ever 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 ever.
Yeah.
That's like one of the good parts.
Never,
for me.
ever, ever, ever.
The happiest she's ever been.
Yeah.
Also, you know, it for what it's worth, it does set up what ends up happening in Alone. So
That's true.
that plot point developed into that. So
That's true.
I can see, you know, what kind of value it has in the overall story, but as a standalone episode, I would put it among Satan's personal picks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just for what it did to the fandom.
And then we're walking into a banger, school pageant.
Let's go.
Yes, Blessed by the Angels. Thank
This
you.
is a great one. Yep. Dale Armature
We
is one of my
open
favorite
up-
side characters.
We
This is a
open
great
up
one.
into like the zoo, and then they're like, "This is our final concert," and Oral's like, "What?" And Clay's like, "Hear him out."
Like the lion and lamb.
Probably because he hates hippies.
Change is only for hippies in underwear.
There's a lot of good in the episode. I mean, the songs are hilarious and witty, and like the whole concept of this fucking musical is ridiculous.
We get more of the
Yeah.
Christines.
Yes,
Yes.
and
Always fun.
I think the cast in this one that's featured is quite fun, and I don't know, it's just a fun one. That's really the best I could say about it. It doesn't really say anything super crazy, but it's just a fun episode.
it sets up like the domino effect, like into
That's
innocence and
true.
purity
I keep
Yeah.
forgetting that
nature,
actual.
so, like,
I keep forgetting actual like omens were happening after that.
yeah.
yeah.
But like I Hate You Jesus is like so funny. I love it. Yeah. And there's so many like little details in the episode. I like the and the Christine's home, like Mr. Christine is like looking through Junior's like assignments, and there's a letter that Junior wrote to Danielle, like Coach Stopframe, for why he couldn't do gym, and it got like an A+.
He gave an A and just moved on.
He's just like, I don't care.
But yeah, and then Dino as Dale Armature is just so good.
Fantastic.
I love him. He's just funny.
Dino voice, like any like side character that Dino voices, like immediately like so good.
I feel like Dale feels the closest to like him. I would say.
Yeah.
It's just like a writer, like kind of washed. I'm not trying to say Dino's washed up, but like just the archetype. I don't know. It just felt very Dino-y to me. But
Yeah.
I feel like if like Clay and Putty are like 2 parts of Dino, Dale might be the third.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
yeah.
Aspects of him.
All right. A little bit. We all kind of know already how we feel about this next one.
Yeah. Presents for God. It's, I think, a lot like it's like the Bartholomew episode where everyone's kind of on the same wavelength and in like a weird exaggerated way.
Yeah, the characters just feel slightly out of character in some ways. It's just awkward.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, we need everybody in town to want to have sex with these women, so, you know, therefore they will. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the joke only really worked for Putty.
mhm.
Yeah. That's why like I've said like in conversations with you guys, I really like the first half of the episode. And then I think it falls apart when it's like everyone in town is getting in on it.
Yeah, it's a little, it's over the top. It's, and again, it's hard to believe that this is actually happening. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't hit for me.
Right.
I think that it's,
Yeah.
you know, there was maybe potential there, but definitely not this late in season 2 either. Like,
this one
no.
was written by Mark Rivers, who was actually the composer of the series.
I didn't know he wrote an episode. The hell? Interesting.
He wrote this episode, and let me see if he wrote another one. He also wrote a little bit of Trigger, so it was him and Dino who wrote Trigger.
Huh. Well,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, not the best solo writer, but hey, great at music.
Yeah.
I just don't really like this episode.
Yeah.
I would put this at the bottom.
Oh, he wrote Pleasure too. Okay, you know what? He was really good when he wrote Pleasure, but this one didn't
Missed
hit
the mark
really.
on this one.
Yeah.
Did no one tell him that Danielle's gay?
It was just not a... Yeah, it was and Clay, and it's just like awkward. I don't know.
Yeah, like you're expecting me to believe that Clay is asking for 2 sex workers.
To be honest, like, I can only believe that he was doing it in earnest if it was like for himself and Danielle and they could do it in the same room.
Yeah, I do like your theory that Clay was also in the hotel room with Danielle and the 3 sex workers. I do like
and the dog.
Yeah, and the dog. The dog was just emotional support for Clay.
Yeah, dog was just chilling. Dog was keeping watch.
I do want to say I really like the designs for the sex workers, the ones that show up at parties. I think the character designs are really good. I think they look really unique, and I like that we get to see Sinville.
Yeah, that's a plus too.
Yeah, the Sinville bit of the episode I think is the most interesting because it basically set up the fact that Clay is not from Moralton, but kind of like under the table in a way.
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of mentions it in passing.
Yeah, it's got all these good elements, but it just like the second half of it really ruined it for me. And I also think one that was out of character was like Roger sleeping with the sex workers. I don't know, like his thing with Florence later is like he's
I see. I could maybe see it as like a fallback thing, but like I feel like he's a little too attached, and maybe this is just me because I'm talking at my ass, but I feel like he's a little too earnest for that. That's just my opinion, but because I don't he stoops to the level of every other man in Moralton who is just disregarding of everything. I don't know. The whole thing's weird. Potter's Wheel's also kind of weird, but I could maybe see it a little more for him.
Yeah. See, I can see that more than I can see Roger's, just because like in Sundays and Sacrifice, like just the way Roger talks about Florence.
Yeah, he's not over.
I mean, he's established to be really lonely, but it's not like in an I want to get laid kind of way. It's more of a I got divorced and now I'm sad kind of way.
Yeah,
and like I miss my wife.
That's
like,
how I would put that as well. Yeah, he doesn't know what to do with his money. That didn't mean he wanted to spend it on sex workers.
It's just just one of those episodes where it's like we need the characters to act in a certain way for the sake of the plot.
Yep. Luckily, there's not that many of those, but
so bottom tier.
Nope. Yeah, is what I meant.
Yeah.
I got Oral's movie.
Oh,
premiere.
I love this one. They did a great
fun.
job with with an episode that reused so much, like in terms of like, you know, it's lower budget. They use the simplified style, and it's
fun fact. They ran out of budget. They wanted to make Numb probably to be the finale of the second season, based on what Dino said, but they ran out of budget, so I think they made this one to use up what was left.
But I love this one. I mean, it's so funny. There's a lot of really good jokes. The way that it recontextualizes a lot of things, and just like the commentary on everything that happened. I love the little representations of everybody in the movie, although some people like to drive home certain aspects a little more than others. But justice for Broomberta, guys.
Broomberta for life.
Like
and Frog Danielle and Ape Putty. Like, you know, chill with the dog Clay imagery.
Yeah.
For once.
I also love
there's more going on in there.
I also just love Joe, and again, like Joe used to be my favorite character, so I really like this episode just because the dialogue is Joe has great dialogue. He's just really funny. And
did this episode have like a lot of improv?
Yeah, it felt like it. I don't know. It felt like it was. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. But it felt like
I think it was. That was like Carolyn and Scott and Jay just doing improv.
But it's just entertaining. It's a solid episode. You know, tuna cones are in it. Yummy. Love those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Our favorite
You made
order.
those ones.
Yeah, they taste great. It tastes like tuna and an ice cream cone and some mayonnaise. Good. All you need.
A fun hors d'oeuvre.
Yep. And I think
Yeah.
it's like it feels like an anime recap episode, but done in a less boring way.
Yeah. It's very entertaining. Like I think it's cute. We kind of like see it through like the kids' eyes.
They showed it for an April Fool's Day thing, I think.
Oh, we also get the pea sheet.
yeah, and the pea kink continuing.
Yeah.
God.
Like the cannon.
Just the like, I hope that's not one of my clean sheets. Nope, got it off Dad's bed. Oh, good.
What? Oh my god. Yeah, it's just a fun episode. I like seeing the adults interact in like kind of like a lower stakes setting.
I think it was really sweet that they invited like a lot of people in the community to come and see Oral's little movie.
Yeah. It makes them appear kind of normal, like in a way.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think they just wanted to support him because, like, you know, what do they lose or gain from doing that?
Like,
although
that's their little guy. They really love him.
It always got me how Marionetta was there and had a microphone, and then girl didn't get to talk at all.
Said nothing. She said nothing.
He was probably supposed to have lines, but then Joe took over.
Yeah.
Oh, poor girl.
I think it goes in good enough for human consumption.
I think it's Jesus Would Have Laughed, but I like so many of the episodes. It's hard for me to.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
it's a pleasant one
because it's a recap. Yeah.
Good enough for human consumption.
Yeah, I can agree with that if you do.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like my personal feelings are like Jesus Would Have Laughed, but like I do agree. I think good enough for human consumption is a good place to put it.
Nature.
I mean, so for the tier list, I combined this into just like one episode.
Finally something that we can put in God's favorite episodes.
Yeah,
this episode. I mean, we've talked about it so much in our other videos, but like,
I mean, it goes without saying it's clearly just such a well done set of episodes, and it's
the big game.
It shows so much about Clay's character, and everything that happens between him and Oral is just it just changes the course of the future of the series. It's just the breaking point. It's the climax. It's everything.
Yeah. I'd call it the inciting incident. I'd call it the inciting incident.
Oh, well,
yeah,
I guess narratively that makes more sense.
Yeah,
it's definitely like a huge like coming of age moment for Oral. Like that, it's such a crime the show got canceled because we missed on so much of like the post nature like relationship between Oral and Clay and like what Oral was going through.
I would have loved to see Oral's cynicism arc, his goth arc,
emo Oral. Yeah, but this episode just so good, and like Scott Adsit gives like such a good performance as Clay.
Oh yeah.
Where's his Oscar? Like, hand it to him.
Numb.
Well, I
mean, this is another.
It does belong in God's favorite
episodes. I think it belongs in there because it happens. And when you think about the prospect of it all happening together, simultaneously, there's just so much there. Like, it's just so good. It's uncomfortable for some people to watch, but that's part of it's like what makes it so good. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And it's our first real Liberta-centric episode.
Exactly.
Which is like the first time you really see her on her own and what she's like alone.
And she's such an interesting character. It's like such a shame we didn't get more episodes centered on her because I think so much potential.
I think what they did with the two that they had was phenomenal. It changed a lot of the previous scenes in a way, so it made jokes feel more heavy afterwards. So I really like it. I think this is a top tier episode. If you guys agree, then
for sure.
I agree.
And like obviously the no children sequence at the end.
Oh
is,
yeah.
Classic.
Grounded.
Great.
Ooh,
yeah, I think it's God's favorite because
I think so.
That was him having like a real kind of spiritual reckoning.
Yeah, it's so strong, and it manages to be still really funny as well. Like a lot of people say, "Oh, season 3 is so dark, like there's nothing to laugh at," but there are still jokes. Like there's still funny parts. You just, you might be caught up in everything going on, but there's still jokes going on. Sometimes there's not, and they know when to put them there and when not to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is also where we get bi oral.
Bye, Oral.
But yeah, and also the animation in this episode is so creative. I think they do some really interesting things. Like I don't have like the technical terms to talk about it. That's not my area of expertise, but they just do so many interesting things with the animation in this, and I really like Oral's like sort of his like near death experience, like sort of dream sequences. We also
Cool.
get a brief return of Bartholomew. Innocence.
That one goes in Blessed by the Angels.
It's good.
I think that episode is so funny. I love the scene in the church when they're like, Oral, we need to talk for a second. Can you go outside?
Yeah, it's not about
It's
you.
not about you.
It's not about you. It's so funny. And I love the scene with I love how animated Clay is in that scene where he's like trying to hide behind the door when Oral comes on.
Yeah, where, you know, he's trying to pour himself a drink and he's shaking, and then, you know, Oral knocks and then he throws it up in the air and then he catches it. And it's a great bit. I think it's on par with the scene of him getting beat up.
Oh, definitely.
It's interesting
Yeah.
to see all the other townsfolk, like, you know, trying to not give Oral advice, but then still ending up kind of giving it to him anyway. It's just,
Yeah.
I like the interaction with Putty, where like Putty's just don't do anything, just hold still, and then Oral's like really still. Like it's cute to me. Like I really like that moment.
Like if I really try.
Yeah. It's so good. I like kind of the holding like the adults accountable for their role in Oral's screw ups. It's just such a fun episode.
bloody bathtub, scary.
Alone is definitely a top tier.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's not
That's
a
favorite.
contest. That was, I mean, I think for a lot of people that was the introduction to the series as well. If they found it the way I did when it was circulating,
Yeah.
that, you know, there's just a lot. You know, it's just such a great episode. It portrays things in such a.
Well, like, how ironic is it that the episode that supposedly got the show canceled is the one that introduced people to the show?
It's
Yeah.
great, honestly. I
Yeah.
love that kind of full circle moments.
And also I've like just since we started making these videos on our like purity culture and rape culture video, we have so many people in the comments talking about how they felt like seen and represented by this like Bendy or Sculpt Them. And I think that's really amazing, and I think it just speaks to like how much care the writers and creators put into this episode. I think it's just really impactful, and like it's crazy that like it's like still sticking with people and people are still finding it today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who wrote this episode?
That was, I think it was a Dino episode. It was Chris McKay and Dino.
Well, they did a great job on it.
Yeah, considering that there aren't any women on the writing team, like they, you know, they portrayed that in a very very serious way.
No, you're right. They did it in like a very serious, sensitive way, and like they still found a way to put humor in the episode, but they didn't put it in the things that they were trying to like comment on seriously. Like they found other like places to add in.
And they
humor.
allowed for a lot of complexity in it.
This amazing episode. Trigger.
I mean, I don't think there's anything outrageous enough in there to make it one of Satan's favorites.
Doesn't it feel like, I mean, does it feel a bit, do you guys think it feels a bit offbeat for season 3, or am I just delusional?
I feel like this was one of those compromise episodes where they wanted to be able to still tell funny stories, but you know, they were stuck with their narrative, so they thought, you know what, let's do another episode that happens from it, like in the timeline of season 2, where you know, let's play up the descent into the nature arc.
Yeah, I mean they did a good job fitting it in, but I don't know, man. Dowie.
This episode,
honest, I would have
want to punch Dowie. Like, I'm sorry.
He's so
he
he was grody in this episode. Like, I know he just wants love, but like he's not a good friend to Oral.
Yeah, I feel like I would have preferred to see the Shapey and Block episode.
Yep.
Yes.
Literally any of the other
They did
canceled
so
ones
dirty.
over
And it doesn't really establish anything, you know?
No, not really. I mean, we already know that Oral is compassionate and he doesn't want to shoot things. So
Yeah.
to dig it in even further, I mean, like, I don't know.
Like we get it, you
Yeah.
know.
And
And
like we
I
already know from
and what
courtship
was-
that
yeah.
Joey is lacking like parental support.
Yeah, and what was the point?
Yeah.
What was the point of like bringing him down mentally? When he goes on the trip, he seems perfectly in line with how he normally is. That part always confused me.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it a plot hole, but I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Wes said, it's like one of the compromise episodes where it's
Is it good
Good
enough for human consumption? It's
You
bottom
know
of the
what?
barrel.
It is bottom of the barrel. You know what? It is Satan's personal picks.
If we
After all.
had to pick one season 3 episode, I think this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Oh my god,
I
5
love this
stars. I love
one.
it. I don't know what
5
I'm gonna
stars
put
up.
it, but
I think it like. Do you think it belongs in God's favorites, or is it like a really high tier blessed by the angels?
I
mean,
think
it's
high tier blessed by the
yeah.
angel.
it's so
Okay.
good. I mean, it does so much for Joe and Bendy as characters, but it was just the beginning of what could have been like a really interesting arc between them.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you know,
Like what we got was so touching though.
it
Like
was so strong.
it's so like it's so sad, but it's so like sweet and hopeful. And I also really like the depth we get with Miss Second Opinionson.
Yeah.
I think she's like such an interesting background character, and like we got all these like hints of like her life in this episode with like being a caregiver for her horrible father, of like, you know, she's aware what he did.
I'm just always in awe by how much they can make these characters, establish them in one episode, and then, you know, there be like a cohesive story behind it as well. It's very strong.
Yeah, I also like that this episode has like a tie-in to the pageant episode.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of
that's
fun.
so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this episode's happens before the trip too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, very good. He's
I
my
think
favorite.
it's kind of weird. Okay, so this one kind of does mess with the timeline a little because
Does
the
it?
pageant episode, supposedly that happened like weeks before the nature trip, but this happens over like a weekend. I don't know. I'm not gonna overthink it.
I feel like it's so hard to like think about the timeline with the show getting canceled and like the
Yeah.
season 3 getting shortened, like it, because like you know,
Yeah.
like they had a whole idea of what the timeline was going to be, but then it got like messed up so badly.
Truncated. Wish we could have gotten the 40 the 50 episodes.
Oh, obviously, but
Yeah.
like, if they liked what they were doing, it's just a freaking kick in the teeth to be like, no, we're not gonna give you the rest of them, even though we think you're doing a great job right now. Yuck.
Yeah.
Let's just completely not do the Arthur arc. We don't care about that.
Yeah, they said fuck Arthur Puppington.
I mean, fuck Arthur Puppington, but I would have liked to see that arc, you know?
No,
Yeah,
me
it
too.
would have been very big. Yeah, man. All right. Well,
Time for the best episode.
sorry. My personal favorite.
This is
I mean,
so
it
good.
belongs
rewatched-
there.
yeah.
The Clay fans have something to look for here. The Roberta fans have something to look for. You know, it
Yeah.
shows us so much. It tells us so much about everything. The fact that they were, the only thing in my soul that I would have preferred would have been if we got a passing style episode, like a early childhood episode for Blobs, and then Help was like the middle episode that showed them meeting. That's the only criticism I have for this episode.
Yeah.
Is that I would have preferred that it be just about their meeting and then her having her own like thing, insight into her family life as well. I understand why they did it this way, but
Yeah.
and it's still a great episode and my favorite.
Yeah,
but
I think that's fair. Like, it would have been really cool to see more about Roberta. Like,
we didn't get it, but what we did get, I think, they handled the time very well. I mean, obviously we learned so much. It gives us the complete origin of their marriage. I mean, it's very clean. We get Clay in his little blue suit. I mean,
love the blue suit.
they both dress really cute in that episode. So
Yeah.
They do.
But in terms of the
Clay,
overall,
however, doesn't know what to wear to church.
the trend continues.
He really thought he was going somewhere else. Like, what is he dressed for? Not church. Yeah. I also like we get the line hors d'oeuvres are what a horse serves.
Hors
Yeah, I mean,
d'oeuvres
this
are what a horse.
And this episode's funny too. Like, I don't know, this one's got humor. It's got. I mean, it's emotionally, it's very deep. I mean, we just learned so much about everything. I like this era of Moralton. I would have liked to see more episodes in this timeline area.
Me too.
Honestly, just like if they wanted to bring the show back and just do a bunch of episodes that take place in the past and elaborate on the characters like that would be really cool.
I would love that.
Yeah. Passing.
Another amazing episode. I think this one belongs at the top as well, but what do y'all think?
Yeah.
No, I agree.
I mean, those two back to back were just like no, but like Help and then Passing back to back was just like a bombshell.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
And Arthur, like that episode, it introduced Arthur.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that people watch this episode and they're like, Clay has always been evil.
Yeah.
Cue to my recreation of Fasting, how it really happened. Get a picture of that on screen. He held his mom at gunpoint. I saw it.
Yeah.
That's how it looked to Arthur.
That's how Arthur remembers it.
Yeah. That's so true.
But yeah, I love this episode. It's so sad, and I love the ending with love for the mountain goats. I think that sequence is really is like really well done.
Wait,
and I love like the slow like kind of zoom in on Clay with his drink at the end.
These poor people have never had normal lives.
No.
Yeah.
Like, Clay truly is not known a normal day in his life.
Close Face.
Good.
Close Face.
Close Face was actually my gateway into the show.
Okay. Because you really focused on like the queer characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw the Stephanie and Kim thing in like an edit or something, and that kind of drew me into it.
That really baited you hard because Kim's the worst.
No, I knew that she was the worst, like from that edit, and I was like, yeah, I want to see more of that.
Yeah, I mean it's something that happens like genuinely to people, and it's I mean, I think maybe all of us have experienced something like this, but I mean, my first girl crush was into boys, so
yeah, it's a very common experience.
Yeah, it's
unfortunately
just it's something that a lot of people can unfortunately relate to, and Stephanie definitely deserved more episodes, but this was a really good one. I'm glad that they decided to put this in there near the end.
It's a really emotionally honest episode.
And I think it gives like really great insight into Stephanie, and then like I think it also, I mean, like we were having a conversation about this a while ago. Like people tend to like idealize Stephanie, where she's like, oh, she's never done anything wrong ever. Like she's perfect. Like she's too good for Moralton. Like she's definitely one of the more rational people in Moralton, and she's super kind to Orel. It's like she does have her flaws too, and I think this episode kind of, I mean, emphasizes like Stephanie doesn't always make like good or responsible choices when she gets too caught up in like her personal emotions.
Oh yeah, she helped him kidnap Christina, didn't she?
Yeah. I mean, and obviously it's cute because like Orel and Christina go to the dance together, and like I love the scene of them dancing at the end. It's adorable. But like,
but also like that could have had like some serious consequences for Christina.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
It's like
helping a 12, 13-year-old girl sneak out of the house to go to a dance, and then like and then it's also the same thing with the piercing way back in season 1. It's like she does things that aren't always responsible because she like remembers, oh, like maybe I wish I'd had this, or someone had done this for me when I was a kid.
She's a rebel at heart.
Yeah, and that's what makes the show so interesting. It's like we don't need people to be on a scale of morality. I know we've talked about this before, but it's like you could be a good person and you can make like decisions that are not they're not the best thing to do, but like
Yeah.
It's just,
And I really love that they like dive into that more with Stephanie here, because I think when people just like simplify her into like, oh, she's way better than everyone else in Marlton, like I think that's not looking at the full like depth of her character.
yeah. And also there are obviously some really sweet moments in this episode. I mean, there's also some good scenes with Putty and Stephanie as well, even though Putty is far from perfect here.
Oh my god.
He you know.
Yeah, he had some really racist moments in there.
Yeah, he did. Yes.
But it is really cute at the end when they sing the song together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, saying that.
I don't know, if it were me, I wouldn't have done it.
What?
It's like, no, sing your own song. Sing your own song.
Oh.
Oh my god. It is a cute moment though. Where do we want to put this one?
I want to put it in Blessed by the Angels.
I agree. That's
a
good place for it. It's just very good.
Oh my god, I can't.
That's the wrong one.
I know, I'm sorry. I accidentally opened up like my dictionary thing and it just like dropped it there. I'm sorry.
I don't forgive
That wasn't me
you.
rebelling against you.
All right, Sundays.
Okay. Okay, mixed feelings on this one.
Yeah. I like it. I feel like it's a good middle tier episode.
I think it's plenty entertaining. It's kind of a recap episode, but it recontextualizes stuff. It gives you a different perspective. I think it's cool to see these characters. Like, Dottie's an interesting character. Florence is an interesting character. You get a little bit of Roger in there, too. But are there better episodes that we could have gotten in season 3, concept-wise?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't think we needed another episode that recapped and like went back in time again. You know, I feel like it's not a bad episode though. You know, I'd rather watch this episode over some episodes in season 3. It's funny as fuck. Like, Dottie is hilarious. I love her dialogue and how she speaks. But yeah, I mean, there's some contentious little points in this episode, but we'll get to that at another time. But it's good enough. I like it enough.
Good enough.
Yeah.
I love you enough.
Yeah. Sacrifice. Is there even a question here?
Top tier. God loves this episode.
Oh my god, I keep accidentally opening my dictionary. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put it there.
It's so good. I mean, it's just good.
It's
amazing dialogue. Once again, Scott gives a
I feel like people calling it a bottle episode is almost like downplaying just how good it is. This is like, there was some technical mastery in there. And the writing was amazing. It won an award for, I think, technical skill.
I think overall, I think it's the cleanest episode in terms of like how it's shot and like the dialogue, everything. I mean, they were getting the cinematography was getting so good in season 3.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot to glean out of this episode too. I mean, obviously the monologue is iconic.
Honestly, if they had ended season 3 with Sacrifice, I would have been okay with that.
I think it would have left it on such an interesting note.
Like, there would have been such a hopeful feeling there, despite the fact that he's like driving away to get the bear. But, you know, suddenly Shapey is speaking to his mother, and I feel like that would have been really just kind of a beautiful place to end it there. If they ever wanted to pick it up again, they could have done that, but instead they decided to do the 2-parter.
I really love this episode. It's such an interesting look into like Clay's psychology and how he's grappling with his guilt over what happened. Like, I just think it's again, like, it's such a shame that the show got canceled, because like we're really seeing, you know, the way Clay seeks out punishment to cope with the guilt that he feels over what he did to Oral. We just lost so much of that, and it's sad because it's so interesting.
Yeah.
They'd need to do like an Evangelion rebuild, but with Moral Orel, where like they recut everything into a narrative and then continue on like just like continue on from Sacrifice.
Yeah. Nesting in
show
honor
us Arthur Puppington, show us Easter, show us like all of the things that happen, because I want to see that.
Give Roberta her season 3 flowers that she was supposed to get.
No, for
Yeah.
real.
I want everybody to feel developed and fleshed out and have their full extent of their character the way Dino wants to tell it. That's what I want. But yeah, this is definitely top. Well, you guys said you didn't have like a favorite episode, right?
No, I don't.
It's so hard to choose.
Yeah, I agree.
If I had to choose, it would be Sacrifice.
Actually, I don't
but,
agree. I
You know,
just said so.
everything in God's favorites is, you know, really strong.
Oh, yeah.
And Satan is one of those for me as well.
It's nesting.
This episode.
We had a conversation
It's-
about this off the record that I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
It's just
You want to? Yeah.
you
Go
want
on.
what? You want to tell them about
Go
that?
on.
Is that what you're gonna say?
I mean, oh my god. They you know, they kind of put a lot into that episode that I feel was foreshadowing all these things that were going to happen later. But ultimately, you know, none of it kind of paid off. They just, you know, it was just thing after thing after thing in there.
Yeah. To be fair, as a disclaimer, like we do genuinely think things could have ended at Sacrifice, like Nesting and Honor, kind of. Though
Yeah.
they don't really. They don't do enough to the ending narrative to like make it. Well, Honor's a little different, but Nesting is one of those that kind of has almost no place because it jumps forward so drastically in time. And
Almost, I feel like if they wanted to jump from like Sacrifice into Honor, that could have made sense without putting it at Christmas. And
Yeah.
you know, you didn't need to have him kissing Censored all. It could have just been some other plot point that made Danielle angry at Clay. Like maybe Danielle's just mad because Clay shot his kid. You know, could it just be that?
Yeah, it's
Also,
like-
imagine if we'd been spared from the Censored All kiss and we could save Clay from the bisexuality allegations.
I think
But also
that-
like you know, still I love like the psychological implications in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a foul situation, but it's so fascinating. Like I want to watch the train wreck unfold. But like
That's the problem. The train wreck is beginning, but it's not unfolding, and then you're just kind of stuck with this sense of horror, and it's like, what is going to happen next? But it never
we
pays
never
off.
know, yeah.
Yeah,
Like if we had gotten like the full like Censored All like trying to take over the town like plot line and how it's like critical that she manipulated Clay like that would have made it all like, you know, worth it, even though I still hate watching it.
So my theory is that she was gonna try and get like the entire town to think that she's their mother.
Truly becoming the matriarch or the mayor.
The mayor triarch. She's everybody's mommy. Everybody age regresses. Like, wouldn't that be insane?
That would be crazy.
That would really be insane. But at the very least, she needs Clay to do that because she can very easily control him when he's like all like age regressed and it's just because we didn't get that payoff. Like I hate the kiss so much because it just like
it's just
it
puts a
didn't-
weird taste in your mouth.
yeah,
It's just there to like, you know, make Danielle mad at Clay, but I feel like there are other reasons Danielle could get mad at Clay.
You're so right. It does kind of feel like it was just trying to get them to be forced into a bad situation with one another.
Yeah.
and there's other ways they could have done that. Like
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
Is this going to be a controversial one? I feel, well, actually, do people even like this episode? I don't even know.
People are more or less confused by it. To be
Yeah.
honest, I think I like this episode more than most people do.
It's I would put it in the middle. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, I think Jesus would have laughed.
Yeah.
I
It's
love,
just-
you know, I love the scene where, like, you know, Orel goes to Clay's study and he's just glaring at him,
Yeah.
and Clay's just like, so how are things?
I like the dynamic. I like the awkward dynamic between them in this, and him being and Orel being catty to him. But like,
Yeah,
it just kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the thing of we
Well,
we
not
didn't get,
nowhere, but yeah, you know what I mean.
we didn't get that like 6 months of build up
Yeah.
yeah,
because
It would have been nice to see.
Orel's feeling hopeful.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's
It's such
after
a
he
it's just
shot
really
him.
jarring. It's a really jarring shift. It's like, you know, you end at Sacrifice and it's such a beautiful episode, and then you jump into Nesting, which is so perverse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it feels off.
Yeah, it's whiplash.
Yeah.
like really interesting episode like to analyze, but like it
As a standalone piece of fiction.
Yeah,
Or in like its context, it feels weird.
yeah. But, you know, watch out for the Freudian analysis that's
That's
gonna be
coming
coming.
soon.
Yeah. So where do we want to put this one?
Jesus,
Let's put it right in the middle.
Honor.
We're so mixed on
Honor.
this. Well, like
I love the scene in Danielle's apartment. It's so, I mean, like we've talked before about how we really wish Liberta's lines hadn't been cut there.
Yeah.
But
they were looking for things to cut in that episode. I think they were like having budget problems at that point. They cut out the scene where Clay was on the phone, and they cut out the they were gonna cut Putty's scene, except for the line, why don't you two get a room? Like that was the only thing that kept that scene in there.
yeah.
So, they were looking for what to save money on. So that explains why they did that. But, it's unfortunate they had to.
Such a shame.
I do think it would have been weird to not see Putty in the final episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Because he is the most significant, like, supporting character.
He would have been in the, they also cut the scene of him and Stephanie kind of mumbling to each other while
yeah, they
Oral
show
and
up,
Danielle,
yeah, it's just not the same.
But I feel like scenes with the Puppingtons would have been more significant.
Yeah.
It's just like there's good meat there. The story is fine on its own if you just move it around. It's very impactful for the character arc between Danielle and Clay.
Yeah.
But
and the scene between Danielle and Clay in his apartment is just really beautiful. Like, again, I'm just like, kudos to Scott.
Yeah.
His voice acting is just so good. Like,
he played both of them. Actually, wait, so the scene where Sensor Doll kisses Clay is like a scene where Scott Adsit is kissing Scott Adsit while Scott Adsit watches in horror and runs out.
Goodness. It's so funny.
I mean, that guy was really carrying.
Yep.
I mean,
he carried the last two episodes.
Yeah, he quite literally was playing like almost every character. Like, I love that. I love how the cast is so small on Moral Orel, but like everybody is just so good at what they're doing. It's just love it.
Yeah.
Real talent in there.
I wish Honor could have been handled a bit differently, because it's really like a very touching episode, and like I could go on forever about like the Clay and Danielle stuff, because Clay's confession to me is just like, it hits me like so hard emotionally every time.
Me too. It's there's just so much desperation. I don't understand like why there's some people who think that he was trying to manipulate Danielle in that moment, because
I don't know how people read it that way.
How could you,
this is maybe the one time in the whole show that Clay has ever really been honest.
Yeah. Literally. That's kind of the point of it too.
Yeah.
And people
And like, what does Clay have to gain from, like, if you go with like the idea he's manipulating Danielle, like, what does Clay have to gain from doing
it in front of his family,
in front of his wife? Like, what does he have to gain from that? It's a very emotionally vulnerable moment for him, and
there's no logic in there for him. It's just him acting on his feelings.
I always love, I know it's like super ham-fisted, but I always love how he steps on the picture. It's just the symbolism is really blatant, but like I like it.
But I think the way they do it is good. Like, I like when he like steps on it. I mean, like before he steps on it, like Oral's trying to pull him away, and he's like getting like really like emotionally. He's like yelling. He's like no, and he like pushes Oral away.
Chills.
And then
I don't know. It's good. It's good. The acting is so good.
Yeah, like it just gets me every time, and it makes me so mad that the end of the episode is what it is.
Yeah. You know what? Just because of the end of that episode, just because they ham-fisted the fast forward into the future, everybody's happy now thing, we're gonna put that in Blessed by the Angels and not in God's Favorite.
Oh, I wouldn't put that episode in God's Favorite. Certain scenes are for sure, but
like the scene in Danielle's apartment, like that's God's Favorite. The ending is not God's favorite.
And
like we've talked about this before, but I absolutely hate the idea that Clay and Blibberta are together miserable forever. I think that's just like so opposed to like everything the show's done up until this point.
Yeah, you know, if you're gonna just emphasize how unhappy these people are and how desperately they want to be able to get away from each other, you know, keeping them together in the end is, God, it's awful. It's
Yeah, it just puts a bad taste in my mouth, and it's like obviously we all feel very strongly about that.
leaves me
So
with this awful feeling in my stomach.
it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
so we got here. To me, it's just like it reads like, oh, you watch characters be miserable for an entire 3 seasons, and then they remain miserable, and there's no change or growth within the like cast. It's just boring.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
Oral,
but it's like,
Yeah.
but oh, Oral's happy now, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well,
Oral gets to become like the perfect human apparently and save the world and Jesus is real. Bye.
yeah.
And the dialogue, when I looked at that dialogue again from Putty, it just made me have a bad taste in my mouth. Like, the way that they talk about it, ooh, just like that out of nowhere. Perfect family.
Happy family.
Shut
How
up.
the fuck does that happen? How the
Yeah.
hell do
I wanna
perfect families
see-
suddenly show up out of nowhere? Who fucking knows? I don't know.
I want to
Yeah,
see
I'm a
the-
puppet.
Yeah,
I-
that felt very much
literally-
like they're ending our show.
Bye.
and
We
we're
got
not gonna go
canceled.
on.
Bye.
I want to see I want to see Oral cope with everything he's dealt with. You know, I want to see him grow
Yeah.
into a new person. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that kid is gonna be so messed up for so long.
And let him be messed up because
Yeah.
he deserves to be messed up for a little bit.
Yeah,
Like,
he deserves to
Yeah.
crash out a bit.
yeah, let him have his goth phase and his Christian metal phase and
Yeah.
his cynicism and maybe question God just a little bit, and
Yeah.
you know, let him grieve his grandfather and let all these things happen to him. I hate that they cut him short like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then people
So
just act like that
disappointing.
was like the penultimate character development. Like, the fuck? Like, did we watch the same show? Anyway,
Like, no, like, man, they ugh.
we were robbed. We know we were robbed.
Yeah.
2.5
I was gonna say that. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Definitely agreed.
Okay, so the next one is Abstinence, which is like the almost lost episode that was not lost.
Thank you to
I
the
like it a
Moral team
lot.
for that.
Thank you. You know, because of the amount of effort, I want to put that at Jesus would have laughed and not just good enough for human consumption.
Yeah.
Because like if I'm just going by like the plot and all of it, I'd say good enough for human consumption. But
Mhm.
like
The
amount of time and effort they went into
Yeah.
just to give us that, Jesus would have.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
They really did us a solid there.
There's some
Thank
funny
you.
parts in it though.
Yeah,
It's a doughy episode, you know, but
we established how we feel.
But it was also kind of a censored all episode.
you're right. You're right. Oh my god. And Block and
Yeah.
Shapey were at the library.
Yeah.
Block
Like-
and shapey.
Like, they're gonna burn it down.
hmm
Yeah. Don't like Censored All has kerosene there. Like, do not let them.
They're gonna get hurt.
We know that they have an affinity for fire.
Oh yeah.
so-
Yep.
Yeah, if the Puffington home ever got burnt down and Shapey went to prison, I would understand
Mm-hmm.
it.
Oh, shapey.
Before all oral, baby Shapey.
I had to put baby Shapey as the little thumbnail picture here.
So
He's
so
beautiful.
cute.
He's adorable.
He's beautiful.
I've said a lot about Oral before. Totally, it feels a little bit off to me, but I think it's still really funny. I think all the characters feel like they're dialed up to 10.
And
Also, there's
it,
not
like,
enough Filiberta in it. Sorry.
No, there not
Yeah.
enough Roberta. But like they like according to like that like Reddit like AMA
It was a
that
pilot.
did. Yeah, it was a pilot. It was
I
supposed
was
to be-
right. It was supposed to be
Yeah.
a pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this was supposed to help them like launch like a Before Oral series, so that makes sense that it's so like they're really like hammering it home, like
They want it to be
Like-
as enjoyable as possible for general audience.
yeah. So
but
like
it's funny,
in that
though.
context, it makes
Yeah.
sense. But I do agree, more Roberta would have been nice.
Oh, it's okay. You don't have to placate me, but
No, I agree. I honestly do think it would have been nice to see her
Yeah.
more.
plus she,
Yeah.
her and her weirdly big.
I mean, we
lips.
got to see her. We got to see her like birth herself.
I mean, that was crazy. Like honestly,
Yeah.
I need clean scrapes of what the fuck she was saying in that scene because I only picked out on a couple
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah.
Like the absolute badassery of all that.
Yeah.
You know, that was what they should have shown for like the Mother's Day thing instead
Yeah.
of the
Oh my
weird
God.
Yeah, the weird
comp of
edit.
like help. Yeah, they should have just shown her giving birth.
No, they would have got copyright struck.
Oh my God.
No, but they run it.
I know, I'm
Adult
just fucking
Swim
being
owns
stupid.
it. Yeah. So what are we saying? Jesus or blessed by the angels?
I want to give it a blessed by the angels just for
I think-
the effort they made to try to do
and-
a pilot episode,
Yeah.
And the
then
look
they
of
got
it.
that down.
I mean, it looks
The
so
look
gorgeous.
it was beautiful. It was
Yeah.
beautiful.
It's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and we got Baby Shapey.
Oh yeah.
So we also, we've had conversations like in the server, and Wes, I always just think it's funny when you like point out that the Danielle puppet had like handles.
He's chubby.
And like it's
Like, if you
very
it's so
prominent.
funny when you think about Satan and like how mad he is
Yeah.
at everyone for being fat, and yeah, he had a little bit going on there.
Yeah. Well, that like as we theorized, that's why it took 8 years for him to actually approach Clay, because he had to be in peak physical form.
He needed to be A+.
He had to be
Yeah.
he had to be perfect.
You know, being good enough for his wife wasn't enough. He needed to be perfect.
Like, I mean, he had his shoes on ready to run with Blowbird. Like, I don't think he cared.
He's like, yeah, I'm done. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm late for being early to something.
That's when people say that he fucked Bulberta, so he must be bi. I'm like, do you not see his body language, his energy here? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, I'm getting out of here.
Like,
It all cares.
he speaks to her in the most like non-affectionate ways possible. It's so
Yeah.
stupid. Like, y'all. That
No,
man is
so
a
so
fruitcake.
according to one of Dino's tweets from when the special aired, it was that he like Danielle brought the photo of Clay with him
That was
to help him
crazy.
get off.
That was the craziest thing I ever read. Like, it's so in character though. Like,
It is.
It is.
Like,
It
of
is.
course, he had the picture of Clay.
When I first watched it, I thought he stole the photo, and that kind of like changes it.
I always did assume he brought it with him, and like I think that makes it even funnier because it's like Danielle has a nicer photo of Clay than Blibberta does, which is like the really whack like fishbowl kind of picture with his
Yeah,
eyes are really.
We
far
love that
apart.
one.
That one's-
that's
yeah.
like the best
Yeah.
picture of him ever.
yeah, exactly. And the fact,
Yeah.
like, it's just weird to assume that she would have a picture of him on her bed, the bedpost. Like, what the fuck? No.
Yeah.
Hates that man. She does not want a picture of
Yeah,
him.
he brought that
Yeah.
for sure. He hid it in his ass.
Smuggling it in like in jail.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, if anyone would find a way, it's Danielle.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Well, you know what? That's the tier list then.
Yeah.
That's our tier list.
Look at it, it's
Objectively
beautiful.
correct.
We are
Yeah.
right about everything.
Yep.
And again, Clam, we're sorry about the Chosenberg episode. We're sorry.
I can't wait for people to get mad in the comments.
Yeah.
I just, I want to hear, I want to hear.
Yeah.
There's if you have a favorite episode that we put in the lower tiers, let's hear it. Let's hear your defense. We'll be taking all inquiries below.
Yeah.
And
let us know.
we'll like ignore them maybe.
Yeah, well, like maybe we'll read them. No, we read everything.
No, we'll read them. We'll
We
read
read
them.
We read everything.
We appreciate
We
every
read
single
everything.
comment everybody puts on these videos. It's a joy to see all the engagement and
Yeah.
everybody getting so excited about everything. It means a lot to us.
Yeah, we honestly do get excited about like every comment. We really do go in and look. And when we get like a really good comment, like one that really makes us think, like we really do like sit there and talk about it. And
We
So let's take some questions.
Yeah, so as we said before, guys, if you ever want to ask us any questions to answer in future videos, you can come to our Neospring and we will respond to them personally. We have a few questions in here that we definitely want to go over. Guys, don't let me lead these, Jesus Christ.
All right. So our first question is, do you think there should be a continuation of Moral Oral? And if so, what would happen and what form would it take?
We kind
I
of,
mean, obviously we'd love a continuation. But I don't think it's likely to happen, at least where Dino stands on it now.
yeah, it seems like
yeah.
it seems so unlikely as much as we could all hope and manifest for it to come. I mean, it's just probably not likely, but I would love to see it happen. How they would go about that, I'm not really sure, but I would love to see something that's takes a different form than the original show did, at least somewhat.
Yeah.
I
mean, I
yeah.
think it would be fun to see like the Moralton show like as they had hoped to do originally. I think, you know, if they wanted to go back and do like a before oral series, like that could be interesting. Like Baby Oral's so cute, and so is Baby Shapey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I feel like so long as Dino doesn't want the show anymore, it's the fandom's city now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our city now.
Yeah.
Our city now.
Yep.
And I like the kind of theories and ideas that people can come up with, and you know, sort of imagining maybe a different way things could have ended, or, you know, trying to speculate on the crumbs that we were given.
Yeah. We sure do
but,
a lot of both of those things.
We
so.
do a little too much maybe. But you know, I would love to see a more meta sort of continuation of Moral Oral that like interacts more with its medium, I guess. You know, I'd love to see the puppets kind of, you know, argue with their animators or something. They were kind of doing that with like the little short spots, the promos that they did for Before Oral, but I feel like if they did something a lot more, you know, psychological and philosophical, they could totally absolutely knock something out of the water. And I would like to see the kind of story of Moralton that Dino would think of today. You know, Dino from 2005 and Dino from 2012, those were two different people. And 2024 Dino, I think he's gonna have some different ideas about how he would have approached it.
Yeah.
And I would love to see his response to his own work.
Yeah. I'd like to see how Moral Oral changes in the like kind of political standing that we have now. Yeah, I think that this would be a great time to bring it back, but
honestly, yeah, like if any time is the perfect time to bring it back, if any time you need to be speaking truth to power and making satirical work, now's the time to make satirical work.
With the new administration coming in, the rise of
everything
conservative Christian values.
Everything's a great way to put that.
Yeah. I mean, will we have Jay back? No.
They can
Jay's playing for the other team
now. We lost him.
Yeah, the collateral damage.
Yeah.
But you know what? They can get someone who can do a good Daniel impression, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They already have Scott, but his impression isn't perfect.
Yeah.
I want the gravel. Give me the gravel.
Yeah. That's key. Like if Moral Orel comes back, we need someone who can like really bring the Danielle energy. That's our thing. We need that.
As talented as Scott is, it is slightly distracting. Because I know it's him. So like when I hear it, it's like, eh.
Yeah.
It's still good though.
Like give him a break. He's already voicing like half the character.
Yeah, right? So the next question, do we think Clay and Bendy could be friends?
No.
I don't think so.
I think if they were like in group therapy, they could be friends.
As they are now, they don't really mesh.
Yeah.
No.
Well, first of all, Clay doesn't know how to be around women.
Yeah, he really, like, he doesn't say two words to a woman besides his wife in the whole series, besides his wife and mother, and then Dolly.
And Censor Doll.
And then Censor Doll all the way at the end. Like, he never spoke to Censor Doll before that.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, just, you know, how he almost never talks to women.
It's maybe like it's intentional.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
But
Also,
yeah,
what would they talk about?
Being a good
age regression,
wife. I don't
trauma.
know.
They're not going to talk about trauma with each other.
They would not be
But
doing that.
they would not. No. That's what they have in common, but they'd never talk about it. But they are really interesting in how much they have in common.
Yeah.
Just looking at them as characters, but I don't feel like they would be friends with each other. Aside from a therapeutic session.
Yeah. And that requires dragging Clay to therapy, kicking and screaming. So
Plus, like, there is no therapy in Moralton, and the first therapy center they're going to open is going to be a conversion therapy center. So,
like, Clay, watch out.
Stop. Yeah. Run, people. I thought this one was really interesting. I don't know if there's an obvious answer to this, but in Best Christmas Ever, why did Blaberta ditch/leave Oral behind and just drive off with her and Shapey? I think that Blaberta sees these children very much as mirrors of the people that they're connected to. I think, obviously, there's a lot of emotional baggage on her part. Oral's clearly very connected to Clay, and obviously Blaberta's not having a good time with Clay. Better ways to word this maybe if I was to think about it a little bit more, but I know you said something that I agreed with earlier, Wes.
Yeah, it's that to Clay and Blaberta, there's like this unspoken understanding that Oral is Clay's child and Shapey is her child.
Mm-hmm.
So like they're, her first thought is, yeah, if he's your favorite, go to your favorite.
Yeah.
And I think that she resents it a little because, that's her son too, but he prefers his dad.
Yeah, I think it was also just like, emotionally charged, like,
yeah, he wanted to
lack
be with
of judgment.
Yeah, he wanted to be with Clay, and she didn't want that. So
well, he wanted everyone to be together, but she didn't want that. So yeah.
Like, obviously, like, Blaberta's never been like the most attentive parent, but I mean, she is very concerned with appearances. So I think it was just kind of like, high stress, like, you're siding with your father and not me kind of thing.
It seemed like an emotional, just knee-jerk moment, like, okay, gonna leave, bye. Taking the kid that loves me with me.
Have fun in the snow.
Yeah.
A little basic, but who are your least favorites, or worse, any characters you hate, and why?
Fakey. Yeah. Honestly, like, besides the more sort of criminally repulsive characters like Dr. Second Opinionson and Cecil Creepler, Fakey just kind of, I don't know.
He just is.
Can someone else
nothing
explain
interesting about him. He's just
It's
all he cares
ugly
about is
bit.
himself. He is doing ridiculous things to multiple people. Like he has a wife who clearly is interested in him, cares about him, but that's not good enough for him. He just wants to.
He's been married to her as long as the Puppingtons have been married. They don't have children. Why did he marry her?
Yeah, it's
if,
implied.
Like, he
it's
doesn't
implied
like her
that
at all.
they don't even have any. It might be implied that I don't think they have sex at all. Like, it's like
it's like he married her just to cheat on her.
Well, let's talk about the Bachelor for Life sticker on the back of his car.
Yeah,
like, what the fuck do you think?
Yeah.
Like this guy is just deplorable. He's so fucking annoying. Like, he's a little crybaby bitch. He's all woe is me, and you know what? He should just get fucking driven off a cliff. I don't want to deal with him.
Amen.
Yeah, he's not interesting.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Does Clay believe in God?
Somebody should ask him.
Yeah, anybody have his phone number?
Yeah.
Let's get him on I don't know what Clay believes. I think he believes in a higher power, but that's really associated with his mother in a lot of ways.
I think he believes in God, but he also kind of hates God. Like, I think he feels I think there's a lot of really complicated emotions in his faith. And
I think God kind of provides this, this replacement for the father figure who abandoned him. It's like, if my dad can't love me, then God will always love me.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't feel that way, even if it seems like God hates me.
Yeah, and it feels like a lot of that religious feeling is also linked to Angela and how much she kind of like pumped that into him when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And
Like, I don't think Clay will ever let go of being religious because of the tie to his mother.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hard question.
It is, yeah.
I mean, I do think, maybe he has moments of questioning things. I think before Oral was really interesting where Clay didn't know how to explain God to Oral.
Yeah.
And he's always been sure of God. So that's really interesting that at that point in his life he had become like really uncertain, and maybe he was questioning things and thinking differently about the world, but we'll never really know what was going on in his head.
Yeah, and I think again, like, it gets tied up in like the whole thing of fatherhood.
Yeah.
I think there's just a lot going on in Clay's head, and
The false certainty of believing in God, like the false certainty of parenthood.
yeah.
It's a very interesting question, though. Thank you for that one. But we're not
Like
writers.
it's yeah, we don't know, sorry.
Yeah, we can really only speculate based on what we get in the episode.
But we're flattered you'd ask us that.
Yeah.
Do you think Oral might stop believing in God once he gets older? We actually have the answer to that because Dino has said repeatedly that Oral will always keep his faith, and I can definitely see that for his character.
Yeah.
I could see him questioning things a little at some point, but eventually coming back to his faith.
Yeah, he's he's rational at least. He's not.
Yeah.
He thinks enough
Like
to see the good in all
he's
things.
not gonna go full on Reddit face.
No.
That's reserved for Shapey.
I think it also comes back to the thing of like, faith and religion itself doesn't, have to like be an inherently bad thing. It's, like what people do with that. Like what people do with their faith and how people interpret things and how they use it against other people or to justify their own actions. And I think, at his core, Oral's faith is just like, it's a comfort to him. Like I'm not a religious person, but it's
yeah, it's kind of central to his world. Like that's what he was raised in. He's got more hope to him than the rest of the people in the community in terms of his what his belief systems look like. But he's got an open mind.
Do you think that Clay could redeem himself? Do you think he wants to?
It would. I don't think he'd even realize that he can redeem himself until the process was started.
It's really a sort of like, what do you mean by that?
Redemption's a weird
what does
word.
redemption look like? Like, is it that he's going to sober up and be a better father and be like a more loving member of his community? Because that in his situation is not something he can do, because he's in a mutually abusive relationship that he doesn't want to get better for the person he considers his aggressor, and he doesn't want to get better for himself because he doesn't like himself. So in that context, in the context of like being within his community, I don't think he will ever redeem himself in the eyes of his community.
No.
Yeah.
I think he can atone and move towards a life where he doesn't hate himself and he feels, a sense of purpose and maybe even some kind of peace.
That would require removing himself from everything that makes him miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
there's room for
he'd
growth.
have to leave Marlton.
There's definitely room for growth with with him in his story, but it's just something that has to get put into motion, and given how the series ended, we just don't get to see that. We don't get to see that.
It's like someone like with the word redeeming, somebody else has to redeem you. With atonement, that's something you do for yourself.
And like with Clay, I think it really lies in him confronting his trauma, his alcoholism, and his sexuality. And I think he can't do those things properly in Marlton.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
Or
lot
within
has
his
to
marriage.
go for him in order for all this to happen. But
Put him on the
it's
homophobe bus.
It's
Oh
possible.
my God. Get him out of there.
Yeah.
Here's an easy one. How did you find each other?
Tumblr.
Internet.
Internet. What did you say, Ellie?
Yeah.
Yeah, internet.
Yeah. Opinions on Reverend Putty. He's my favorite character, but I really hate him as a person. It was very much worsened by finding out he supports necrophilia, Adult Swim sermon shorts. I would love to see you guys make a video on him in the future.
Well, good news. We are gonna make a Putty video.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Would you like? To be honest, the Adult Swim sermon shorts were some of my favorite characterizations of Putty.
He's doing his thing
he's
up there.
Like a failed stand-up comedian.
Yeah, like that really clarified something about his character that, you know, was only kind of hinted at in the original show, is that, you know, he's always standing at the pulpit and like, was that the right word, or is it like an altar? I don't fucking know.
Pulpit, I think, is correct.
Okay, but whenever he's there, he's, you know, he's just yammering on like he's doing a comedy set, and and then it confirms in those sermons that he used to try and be a comedian. That was like his old passion, his old dream.
I would have,
and apparently I would have loved to see like a Moral Orel special where like Putty tries to be a comedian in his youth.
Or like even like, you know, like a flashback episode.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been funny because I imagine he'd have to leave Moralton to do that.
Yeah. Putty Sinville arc.
Love that for him.
Because, you know, his partner, his comedy partner was gay apparently.
Oh.
Wait,
that was the thing he mentioned. That was what he said. It was he did a whole thing about like, oh, you know, I'm so straight. I didn't even realize that my his comedic partner was gay.
I don't know.
That's what he said. Yeah.
I don't know if Putty could survive Sinville.
Putty to me is a very latent bisexual, and he's fighting his bisexual demons in church.
I believe that. I believe that. No, if there's a bisexual character in Moral Orel, it's Putty.
He would never indulge in it, but it's there.
I don't think he'd ever realize it. I think he like prefers women, but he's definitely got like some.
He's had thoughts. He's had thoughts.
Yeah.
And has possibly like horsed around in locker rooms, according to something he said.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Reverend Putty's a nutcase. It's gonna be so fun to pick him out. But yeah.
He is a really interesting character, and he is the show's most significant supporting character, and at the end we kind of started to see him.
No, he's a main character because he's in every episode. Yeah.
Is he in every episode?
He's in every episode practically. Like I have a trouble like thinking of an episode he's not in, which can tell you that that's a main character.
Okay. Yeah, well, yes, okay. But what was I gonna say? I think he's one of the characters that we see start to be on this kind of positive, like, character growth kind of journey towards the end of the show. And I really like that. You know, I mean, it's kind of like a hint of what maybe we would have seen over like the next like two and a half seasons we didn't get with other characters. And he is funny.
So yeah, he's succeeded as a comedian to some extent.
Yeah.
There's only so much I can get out of a character like him. Like, I find him interesting and funny, but like to me he's just like a comedy character, and like he's got a couple moments, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I know he's Putty is so sexy, guys. Is that what you want to hear?
It's so crazy to me how many people find him like sexy. That's so crazy.
They want him to drive his hot rod into their heart, okay?
Florence moment.
Oh my god.
That just made me think of like if like Florence and Putty like got a place together, I feel like they would get like this artwork piece commissioned of like Putty just like naked on like a zebra or something.
Oh my god, that's really in character.
Like
Yeah.
I like that make that like fantasy a reality in painting. Go. I don't know.
God.
They're fucking there's something. Anyway.
We've gotten quite a few comments so far. So I think this one was on the transitional object video. Just a little note, Orel doesn't tell Clay that Clay shot the bear. He says that Clay killed it. I think those words were deliberately chosen, as not only does Orel not want Clay's approval, but he also thinks Clay is at fault for the bear's death, despite Orel having been the one to put the bullet in it.
Love this comment.
It's so good, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
so true.
you know, that kind of adds something to it, because it's not just that Orel is, telling a lie to his dad. He fully believes what he's saying.
Really adds another layer to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out, or drawing our attention to it.
Thank you, Raggedy Anarchist. Another one from the Three Bears. This made me think. Clay didn't remember shooting Orel nor the bear, but chose to believe that he did shoot the bear, staying in denial of what he did to Orel despite the proof of otherwise. Could it be that he wants to protect himself from acknowledging the harm he caused to his own son that he should love, thereby realizing he's a terrible father, and so chooses the fantasy that he had shot the big bad bear instead? So there's like 3 different stories that he tells, or like 3 different versions of events that he has. Because when he first asks Orel if Orel shot the bear, then Orel says, no, you did it. So he goes into it thinking, okay, so maybe I did shoot a bear, but how did I shoot a bear and also shoot my son?
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to rationalize that. So his first thought is, I couldn't have shot my son. The bear must have shot him, which is like an insane idea to have.
Yeah, like he got up on his hind legs and he just picked the pistol up.
Yeah, or I don't know, maybe he's imagining that the bear stepped on the gun or something.
Oh, that's a little more. That makes a little more sense than what I was thinking.
Yeah, but that's the first story he goes with. When he's wheeling Orel out of the hospital.
Yeah, that's what he tells Joe.
It's what he tells Joe. Which, like, he didn't need to tell Joe anything, but he was extra defensive that day. The other story, which is the one that Orel tells people, is that he shot himself. And, it's vague as to whether, like, this is the story that Orel is telling people, or if this is what Clay's been telling people. And that he expects Orel to tell others that.
I feel like that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is like the cover that they go with. It's like the most plausible, It's
the most plausible is that the kid, didn't know how to handle a gun and then shot himself in the leg.
Yeah.
But then, the one that Clay settles on, and this is the one he settles on after he gets mad at Orel, is that Orel got between him and the bear.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, I think makes sense to him because Orel, has shown himself to be someone who doesn't want to kill animals.
Yeah.
So he's kind of bridging the gap in his head that way. But at no point did Orel actually tell him what happened.
No.
Yeah, but he says, doesn't he say, what about when he acknowledges it?
No, he says, you shot me. And he says, no, I didn't.
But then he says he's glad he shot him. Like, does he just not know?
No, I think that, he says, look, you shot me. And he says, oh, if I don't remember, then it's not my fault. So he does acknowledge that he shot his son.
Yeah, but he does as well in nesting.
Yeah, but he acknowledges it before that as well. He acknowledges it in Numb when he calls Potter's Wheel.
Oh yeah, we just don't get to hear that.
We don't hear him say it, but he did acknowledge it to Potter's Wheel. So Potter's Wheel knows that Clay shot
had
Orel.
a couple too many highballs or whatever.
Yeah.
That'll be too many eyeballs.
Yeah.
The way that he just hand waves that is insane, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
which brings us to another thing. It brings us to another thing. There was another comment here. Just a thought connection. Sorry if you mentioned this in the video and I just missed it. The bar scene when Clay is ranting at Reverend Putty, Officer Papermouth, and Dr. Potter's Wheel. They all seem like they're going to fight Clay, but then they decide not to and that it's not worth it. There's a parallel between this and the fact that his father told him he wasn't worth it when he went to hit him. So again, Clay is receiving the message of not being worth it. So, I think that there's an aspect of the scene that people tend to overlook, which is that everybody in that room could have intervened. They could have said, okay, no, that was foul. You need to face your consequences. There's a police officer in that room who, based on evidence provided by the doctor, could have arrested him for gross negligence and child abuse.
They all could have, well, maybe not Putty, because I don't think he knows the full extent of what happened, but...
Putty's a spiritual leader. He should be, if you're not letting people have therapy in this community, then you're the one providing it. So why weren't you there to help him? It's everyone in that room is complicit in a way.
Interesting, and them deciding he's, not worth it. They're just
is it really not worth it to hold him accountable for his actions? You don't have to hit him, but something has to be done about him. Whatever that looks like, And
in not holding him accountable, they're not only hurting Orel more, they're hurting Clay.
Yeah.
Clay needs to be held accountable for him to even have any shot at moving towards recovery and atonement.
So there was another comment on the Blaberta video. It could have been that Blaberta wanted Sunny Bear as a transitional object for her relationship with Shapey. She realizes she can't keep treating Shapey in an infantilizing way, but still needs to at least simulate her need to be needed, and sees Sunny Bear as something she can project a maternal relationship onto.
I thought this was such an interesting comment.
I can see it.
Yeah, it's a different kind of spin. I think both are plausible, but it's so interesting to imagine it this way.
I think this theory, I think it makes sense with where Blaberta may be mentally at this point. Her getting Sunny Bear as a transitional object for Shapey, to help Shapey. I don't know if she's at a point where she's attentive enough, aware enough to know he needs that, but I think she could recognize that she needs it.
Yeah, I think it could go both ways. It's hard to say, really. But
yeah,
I like the idea of both in theory. I can't really say which one is more plausible because I don't know, but...
No, I mean, we don't know why exactly she was going to go get the bear.
Yeah.
So next one, this was on our short where we pointed out the similarities between Bendy and Clay's how they represent themselves in terms of gender, and we got a good one. Both had incredibly traumatic childhoods. Bendy's implied, Clay's we see, with abusive father figures who didn't treat, teach, and protect them as the children they were. It's implied that no one was in their life to help them. Maybe in the absence of an actual parental figure to guide them into adulthood, they both decided to basically put on the bathroom sign version of their respective genders, like kids play acting woman and man.
Yeah.
That's such a good comment.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think the sort of exaggeratedness that they both sort of present, that's them trying to feel secure in that, in a way.
Yeah. I mean, it's they're trying to prove something not only to everyone else, but to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That they,
that they know how to be adults, and being an adult means, fitting the exact idea of what your gender should act like.
Yeah.
It's like a
and
costume.
I think that particularly is clear with Bendy, because she really does talk about it like playing adult. She'll talk about, when she goes out to work and the clothing she's wearing, and very specifically points out as it being an adult thing, like the comment says, a child play acting. Hers is, I think it's more explicit.
So another one, my theory is that Miss Sensordoll was born intersex and her mother had them perform a genital surgery that took out the female parts, and then later, but probably still pretty young, identified as a woman. So, originally I wasn't sure if like that was ever indicated in the show, but when you read the letter that she sends to Clay, the way that she spells her name is Francis with an I, which is the masculine way of spelling Francis, and her middle name is Clara. So maybe there's something to that, but you know, there isn't. If you squint, you can kind of see it.
Yeah,
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean,
it could be either way.
I think,
Yeah.
I mean, it would provide an explanation for like why her ovaries and reproductive organs were removed.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Like, we don't really know the reasoning, and when I watched, I just assumed it was for some weirdo crackpot religious like value of purity or something. But like, really, we don't know enough about it.
Yeah, but like with children that are born intersex, like that is
it does
thing that
that's
happens.
something that doctors do.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't even tell the parents.
What?
No, there's documentaries about that.
No, that's fucking fucked up.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, we know that the mother, like Sentinel's mother, was involved in the decision, and you know, I that might make sense. I mean, it's probably, you know, in this very patriarchal culture, the mother probably wanted a boy,
or that like the mother and father disagreed on how to raise her.
Yeah,
because she's got two names of different genders. But yeah, that's, you know, it's food for thought.
Yeah, definitely.
We can't conclude anything, but interesting nonetheless. So we got this comment on the poll that we put out, which was based on the argument that the creators had in one of the commentaries about whether Clay is aware or whether he's unaware of his feelings for Danielle. And someone left this great comment.
I agree with other commenters that it isn't super black and white, and that his arc ends with his increasing awareness. That said, here are some moments in the series that I think highlight why we say he lacks awareness. 1, agreeing to a massage from Stop Frame in front of a bunch of important townspeople. 2, talking openly about the sweet, lovely letter he received in front of his family. 3, his initial reaction to Stop Frame watching him pee in their first meeting seems pretty oblivious. And 4, biggest of all, which directly leads to the downfall of their relationship, kissing Sensor Doll right in front of Stop Frame. With all of these moments, if he had been thinking, this is gay, I am doing this gay thing with a gay person who I'm attracted to, he probably would have acted far more self-consciously. I think it speaks to how Clay in general is less of an actively deceitful manipulator and behaves more like an animal trapped in a cage of repression. I love this comment.
Yeah, I was on the fence, but you know, laying all those reasons out, it really does make sense throughout the first and second season, especially. He really just has no idea that he's doing something that's weird, or what other people see as weird.
I don't think he, you know, within the confines of like his very strict religion, I don't think he has like the tools to figure out what he's feeling in like a healthy way, or like know what's going on. He just knows that he likes being around Danielle. And I also appreciate this commenter pointing out how Clay's not being like purposely deceitful or manipulative with Danielle. And I think with Danielle, Clay is the most honest he's ever been. Like, he can certainly be deceitful and manipulate, but, you know, with other people or in other situations, but I don't think he does that with Danielle.
Honestly, you know, I think in the case of what happened there, Danielle kind of jumped the gun and assumed that Clay was being manipulative when he was really just being stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of
Yeah,
those
that's it's just a from Danielle's perspective thing, because we're watching that scene from his perspective, and, you know, the crowd kind of bought that maybe he was using him, but ultimately it just seems strange to me.
And it, you know, it's super weird because we did see what happened in Nesting, but still that kind of overpowers the narrative when you go into the finale like that.
All right, Lauren here. I hope you had as much fun watching this video as we did making it. Let us know your episode rankings and thoughts in the comments. We love reading through to see what you guys have to say. We also want to let you guys know that if you'd like to help support us, we offer channel memberships and have a coffee link in the description below. Be sure to check out our Neospring if you have any questions you'd like to submit for a future video. Also make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share because that also helps us out a lot. On a more personal note, I'd like to say that we are so appreciative of all the love and enthusiasm you've shown us over the past couple months. None of us thought a channel about a niche Adult Swim show from the mid-2000s would take off like this. We honestly thought we'd get maybe 12 views, and half of them would be from our friends. It's been so amazing to see how many people are still excited about Moral Oral and to watch this community grow. We're super excited to keep making videos. There's a lot of great ones to look forward to in the new year. Happy holidays, and we'll see you in the next video.
If the Lord were alive today, what would you give him this Christmas? What do you give someone who has everything and more?